Hey everybody, name's Chris. This is we'll go ahead and do an any percent Parasite Eve run. This run is very interesting per se. So it's three. The target is 3 hours. World record is 3:38, but we will not be seeing any world record today. So don't hold your breath. And also we. This game could get trolly with certain boss battles and certain regular fights. So if everything goes well, hopefully I'll be able to introduce you guys to this. That's why I wanted to run, because this is an awesome game and a lot of people nowadays just don't play it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start it. As soon as I hit new game, I'll do the countdown and then you can start time. So 3, 2, 1, go. So again, guys, I just started running Parasite Eve not too long ago, probably like a good 2 or 3 months. And Nate Monster, thank you for the good luck. And this is a very fun speedrun. I normally speedrun Resident Evil games, and I also started speedrunning some Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but I wanted an RPG game that was kind of chill, so that was really good and I can actually interact with people. So Parasite Eve is definitely one of my favorites, especially the music on here. I don't think there is a bad soundtrack or song in the soundtrack, so hopefully you guys can enjoy that as well. Day 1 and Day 2 and half of Day 3, there is a lot of mashing and dialogue, so hopefully it won't be Resident Sleeper for you guys, but hope you enjoy it. And especially those runs, I've been watching this and we have been at 240. Please donate. This is a good cause for Go Rescue. And we definitely appreciate you guys' donations. So. Uh-oh. Well, don't worry. This cutscene will... Well, I can stretch it out if you want. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but it's up to you. Okay. Alright. Yeah, Clay, I got a cam. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for the good luck. Appreciate it. Hopefully we won't have any trolls, troll bosses, troll T-Rexes, troll frogs. There will be a lot of safety saving, as I normally would on my runs, so. I'm a troll T-Rex, yeah, I know you are. So obviously, if you're not aware of the actual plot, read up on it. Since this is a speedrun, you will probably be lost if you are not if you're not aware of the plot and what's going on. 'Cause right now, fire. And you're just probably wondering, why is everyone bursting on fire and flames, and this whole scene becomes chaotic. Just read the plot for yourselves. Gonna learn all about that mitochondria. If you meet a girl named Eve, run. That's my advice. Run as far away as you can. Yeah, I think it was because when we were at the menu was decent, but the game was split. So that was my fault. We should have figured it out. But it's all good. Alright, so right here we just have the club. We're just gonna go ahead and hit away. This is where Aya's parasite powers awaken. Just had to do some manual bounding box stuff. Right? That's not a bad idea. Alright, not a bad fight. Normally this isn't... I try to avoid just to make sure I have a lot of health, especially in the beginning. But it doesn't matter if you get hit a couple times by this Eve.
Do we have a moment, though?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because... Oh, God, better way too low on my end. I always mess up my own audio balance. Because Jadis, as promised, did donate $11. Jadis able to did, as promised, donate $11 for every shot missed in Resident Evil 2, saying, "Here's the donation. I promise for all my missed shots. Good luck to everyone. Thank you so much for the donation." Now, I did ask if he wanted to put it to somewhere, but I did not get a response yet. But if you want to put it somewhere, I did contact you, so just let me know, and we'll see if we can put that towards a bit more an incentive. Back to the run.
All right, thank you for the donation, man. Especially with the world record. Congrats. All right, so right now, poor Rattata is going to evolve, but he's going to evolve in a more painful way he would evolve in in Pokemon. So this game is very unique with those type of cutscenes, as you will find out in Day 3, which is a little bit more touching, especially in this type of marathon that we're running. So let me move this. Okay, I apologize. I don't know why my suddenly Pokemon. Yep. That's not a Rattata that I want to catch in my Pokeball, I'll tell you that. Oh! There we go. Okay, not bad. So we got a crit. Yeah, it is, Terry. Yes, it is. It is a mutated rat. So, hopefully Palmer could probably explain when he gets on later, but it seems that anyone who comes near or in contact with Eve, they tend to transform. They have their mitochondria shift. And I'm not sure. I believe she is the one that's causing it. So, and with different animals, it has a different change than it will with different humans. So, with humans, it just pretty much sets them on fire. As with animals, it kind of mutates them. So. Alright, so now we're going to come up to our second Eve fight. Which here she goes ahead and transforms from Melissa to full-blown Eve. Well, I wouldn't say full-blown, because she takes many forms in this game. I should have safety saved here, but I didn't. Okay. I'll try to play it a little bit more safe. So we'll just wait for the first beam. It's not bad. You don't want to get too close, because first, those beams hurt. Second, she does a melee attack if you're way too close. And that melee attack would also take a lot of damage. And sometimes when you try to do that, and she moves, then you'll end up missing. Alright, so you see how that took 18? We don't want that anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and after this little cutscene, I'm gonna heal. Eve can sing without moving her lips, and she can play the. Yeah, she is. She's very talented. She hits hard too. Yeah. Hopefully we don't have a lot of lucky. We for sure want to play it safe, so. Lucky in this game can be very dangerous. She killed me 2 times already. Oh man. Yeah, she's a dangerous one. So we just let that move. Hit again. Alright. So that sucks that I got hit, but it's alright. So this is what we call the mini boss here, because it's stupid frog. This frog hurts. Not only that it hurts, you also miss a lot. So I'm gonna take this time to heal. So mini boss 1 has been completed. Within the Parasite Eve community, that's an inside joke with that stupid frog. Offense 1. So normally if we had offense 2, we would be able to go ahead and skip this part, but because we got 1, we want to check for this one. And now we're gonna go ahead and use it for that. Take this time to heal. Alright. So right now we're gonna go ahead and try to do what we call a frog skip. This next area has automatic encounter. Some rooms will automatically have a counter. Alright, we got it. Where as soon as you hit certain spots, you will go ahead and trigger an encounter. And this is one of those rooms, so we were able to go ahead and skip it. So some of you might have kind of ready for the frog skip. Well, I got it, baby. I got it. Alright, so this is going to be our first boss fight. So this boss is another troll, because he uses a move with his tail that will send shockwaves or little wave beams at you. And if you get hit by them, depending on where they're at, it can either hit you for like 18 or I've seen 34. Regardless, it hurts. You never really want to get hit by it. But the problem is, you don't want to be close either. I'm sorry, my camera's just bothering me. Like, it doesn't want to stay still. And maybe instead of moving it, I should have just... Whatever. Anyways. Right? Fighting in those nasty sewers. You don't care. Alright. First boss fight. Let's see what we get. 2 targets. Oh, we don't want that. So I'm just gonna stay here and wait now. Again. This is not good. He's just being a troll right now. So you kind of want to stay on the side of him, so when he does that beam, you don't get caught into the mix. Now he may end up... Oh, no, we're good. We're good. Alright, during this next cutscene, I'm going to see if I can move my cam, but... Oh, that sucks. It's too early for close boss fights, and that's definitely one of them. If there is any other donations, feel free to read them. If not, we'll just continue. Yes. I agree. Okay, alright, George. Sorry about that. All good, I got you. Alright, so we are headed to day 2, which is some more button mashing, dialogue skipping until we get to the second dungeon, which would be the Central Park Zoo. And the zoo is interesting. Very interesting. Alright, more dialogue. They're pretty much talking about the incident of what happened in the Opera House. And, yeah, just a lot of talk about it. And then eventually they're going to have a press conference about what happened and yada yada. So there's going to be a lot of yada yadas. I know, right? It's insane. I wonder how accurate though this, like the replication of New York City in this game was back then. Like, I'm not 100% sure how accurate it is. Like, if you know the places are or how they look in real life here towards real life, but or towards the game. But anyways. If you've seen Detroit Become Human, like if any of you guys played that game, and I live in Michigan and I work in Detroit, it's insane how you can pick the buildings out that you see every day in an actual video game. It's pretty cool and neat. Alright, so we're gonna get our gun here that we're not gonna use. I believe Twin Towers are there. Obviously, we saw Statue of Liberty. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and store theater key because we don't need them. And I was supposed to store the mod permit. We'll get the tool here and we bounce. We don't need any mod permits. We don't need any junk. Normally mod permits will allow Wayne, who we just saw, to be able to modify your weapons, but we're going to go ahead and use the tools to modify the weapons on the fly as we get certain weapons. I think if I'm correct, we only use 5 weapons throughout the game. The buildings are SimCity 2000. Interesting. Like, I don't know if you're trolling or if you're serious. Because I never played SimCity 2000. I've heard about it, but I never played it. Alright, so now they're going to go in the press conference here. Talk about last night's incident. As you can see in the back of the chalkboard. In the office, he told Aya not to say anything, but she ended up talking about the mitochondria, stirring up a panic within the media. And Detective Baker is not too thrilled about that. Alright, so he gets a call from a scientist who tells them about mitochondria, and I believe he wanted to speak to Aya. So, to the museum we go. A lot of dialogue skipping. We're gonna go ahead and sign in, obviously. Because there's no one in the museum, you gotta sign in, right? Keep attendance. Now, Aya has this flashback. Somehow the scientist is in there. And she has no idea what the heck's going on, so... And then they break out to this huge conversation about mitochondria. I'm not good with science, so I have no idea what they're talking about. It's the powerhouse of the cell. There we go. Unfortunately, I fell asleep through science class in school. I have to make sure my kids do not do that. It's gonna be like your father. Anyways, we're gonna go back into the NYPD for a briefing of some sorts. Yes, they are. The cop car is a transformer that does not make its appearance during this game. More mashing. And then we'll go with our first Not weapon. Yeah, our first weapon change. Because we ended up getting the weapon from Torres in the gunshot. We're going to take our weapon now and transfer the stats from the weapon that Torres gave us. We definitely don't want to mess up these modifications throughout the run, because one little slip up with the modifications, you don't do it properly, correct? It could ruin the run. So we get rid of that. Equipped. Tools. So we're going to take the M19 that we had. We're going to transfer the stats over. Sorry. The M16, which we have. Sort. And we're good to go. So now we're going to have a little cutscene of Daniel flying out of the NYPD. More Mach speed action, baby. 16 times the speed. 16 times the detail. Alright, so he burned up. So we know that Eve is inside because he, for some reason, cannot get near the vicinity. But yet, his son is inside Central Park, which is why he was flipping out. And now we're going to go ahead and try to rescue his son and his wife. Alright, so this snake's gonna move. We'll just wait for this one. And then he will follow us. By that time, we're good. Alright, cool. So that fight went well. And you always, when you finish a fight, you always want to go ahead and finish near the screen transition. That way it's faster. You know, you can transition faster to faster. Like, from screen to screen is what I meant. Wait, was that a clear road? Yeah, no. And that's before everyone evacuated from New York. So all you people from New York, you're probably a little jealous about how traffic is in this game. Junk, alright, we don't want junk. If we end up accidentally picking junk up, it's not the end of the world. We just have to make sure we discard them so that we don't end up missing important items like cures. Because you're going to want a lot of cures in this run. Or, for me, because I get hit a lot. I think that's the most unreal thing in this game. not the monsters, like animals transforming or people just lighting up on fire. It's New York City traffic. Alright. Tool. That's good that the tool's there. Right there, one thing about this game is that certain treasure chests are RNG based. Tool has an 80% chance of spawning there. If not, you'll end up getting some ammo. which will then put the tool in a different spot later on that we don't want to go to. So it's good to get the tool there that we got. Oh yeah. Caw-caw. I hate those birds. There has been times that I died here because I forgot to put my vest on. Yeah, it's pretty intriguing. And during the hospital on day 4, there is a major weapon RNG factor too. It kind of depends on how the run will take shape. Because you will either get one machine gun or a micro Uzi, and that can change routing a little bit. Alright, so now we're making our way up to the amphitheater where our lovely Eve is at, trying to give a performance. It's interesting because during this part, I believe Eve fully takes over Melissa's body, who is the host. But I could be wrong. If I am wrong, correct me. But you can tell on here in this dialogue, she's trying to speak to the crowd, but then, you know, Eve comes in and says how mitochondria is strong and yada yada, so. And now, if you like Jello, look away. Because that is what everyone is going to turn into. Asta, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And Ashmedai, I apologize. Like, I believe I did answer your question, or more like elaborated on the statement with the RNG for the chest, but my brain is like in a million places right now. Yeah, I hate orange. Sandwich, there's going to be a lot of those emotes in this game. The one that's probably going to hit us the hardest is on day 3, and you'll see why. Tell Palmer this every time, but her whole plan relies on Eve to come one play on a specific night to make everything happen. I guess. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and pick up our first revive here. We want revives. During these runs, we want revives. If you're going for a world record or a good PB pace, we probably would just want this revive that we end up getting. But during this marathon run, we're going to go ahead and, like, the whole thing is going to be safety. So I'm going to pick up this revive, and I'm going to pick up the other revive that's on day 3, so. Well, on night 1, the play was going on normally until she saw Eve. Yeah. So what you're saying is, if I didn't go to the opera, there would have been no Eve, because Eve would have never taken over, is what you're saying. Is that right, 10? Is that the theory you're coming up with? It's a good theory. Come on. I think it would have happened either way. It just happened faster, I think, that I was there. Ah, that's not good. Okay, so see how we only took one jump there? It's because we're full. And then we don't want that, so we're gonna go ahead and sort. Since I have 100 BP, we're gonna go put that into 1 point of an attack. And then we'll move on. So we're gonna run into our counter here, the Coca-Cola polar bear and the snakes. Our polar bear is mad because there is no more Coke. Plane comes back every year to this whole plane comes to fruition, and everyone's like in their 80s, and the plane never gets. Alright, we're gonna use that, and then we're good. Just definitely want to make sure we heal. Then we're gonna have an encounter up here. Alright, so this chest coming up is going to be another RNG chest. We are going to either have an 80% chance that we're going to pick up a defensive item, defense +1, or a tool. And we pick a defensive one. If we had the tool, we can go ahead and, I believe, use it here to up our attack with one of the guns. We can put it to one of the gun, like our gun that we have now. I can't speak, I apologize. Alright, so we're gonna want here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and safety save here after a reload. Heal, and then do that. Sort. We don't need there, and then we'll save.
Oh, looks like I got here just in time.
Just in time. We've already had a close call with our first boss. He didn't play too well with me and decided he wanted to leave me on the first phase with 4 HP. So
Hey, that's that good, man.
Yeah, it
it's always nice to see. Hopefully this goes a little bit better than this one. This is usually a pretty easy fight with never any issues, you know?
we'll see. Alright, so we'll go ahead. So we're going to try to take these 2 worms below first. I'm going to try the strat. Palmer, if you want to go ahead and elaborate on it. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry, I was getting my coffee and my vape all settling in. Yeah, so what happens right here? This is the worms fight. A lot of people, if you've played the game, you're probably familiar. And the way that this fight works is that when one of these worms die, one of these 4, the remaining 3, or the remaining however many are left, gain a little bit of HP, as well as you can see, their models get a little bit larger, and they become just a little bit scarier. The strat that he was mentioning, there's a strat as Primus, that the good Canadian fellow in chat mentioned. 121 is a strategy. It's the fastest way you can do this fight. And because of the way that I've just explained on how they all grow stronger and get bigger and what have you, when the best way to deal with them is to kill as many as you can in a single round, so that they don't get the opportunity to grow in size and get a lot bigger.
He's gonna grow at this rate.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. It never really goes how you want it to. You just kind of you always just deal with what you're given. That's just the nature of the worms. But 121 allows you to kill 3 worms on a single turn, but it is very, very chance driven and very, very it's hard to do. It's only, the stars have to align. Traditionally, what you'll see is what Chris is doing right here, where he's going to kind of split his shots and hope that he can kill both worms on the same turn to avoid that 4th and final worm, who is the most annoying of the bunch for sure.
Unfortunately, I have to heal, and that's a reload. Oh.
That's kind of the nature of this fight is things kind of going awry. So right now you actually have in the M16A1, which is the gun you're using, you have 17 bullets, and that kind of creates a weird situation because you fire 2 bullets at a time, as you can obviously see. So it's sometimes will catch you in the middle of shots in between the worms, and timing is everything in this fight. So just a difference such as that can make a pretty big headache. But the luxury that we have here in Parasite Eve as a whole, in marathons and whatnot, is if you sacrifice a little bit of time and just throw up a little heal, you can give yourself a lot of security, and that's really, really nice and marathon friendly. And as you can see, this fight, we go into it with an idea, and usually what happens is not that idea whatsoever. But Chris is doing a real good job here, just kind of dodging this 4th one. The 4th one is the hardest to dodge. There's a couple of ways you can do it, and he's doing it real effectively, and that's the worms right there. Made it look easy. Well done,
man. I hate those worms. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and just heal up here, use our bonus points. Now, we're gonna use our bonus points all on the active time. We used the first set of bonus points on attack to do that once with our weapon, and then the rest of the run we're going to go ahead and bump up the bonus points to get our active time up to 31. I'm not sure why 31 is the sweet number or the sweet spot, but it is. And then after that, once we get our active time up to 31, then the rest of the bonus points will go ahead and pour into our attack attribute.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Once upon a time, Primus, the lovely chap in chat over here, he was toying around with adding active time, all your BP to that, because the original route was all attack from the get-go. And eventually some math was done to figure out exactly what the best split was that it would give you the most efficiency between those. And stopping right at Centipede, which is right around when you'll have that 31, is what ended up being mathematically ideal. So you're going to see Chris do that, and it's nice, man. Having active time is nice because, as you can see here, his AT is his ATB, basically, essentially. And then, but your speed of everything is tied to that, like your ability to have fast ATB is your ability to heal, it's your ability to attack, it's your ability to cast magic and do damage and all that. It's all gated through that, so it's very, very handy to have that going quick. That was a great fight, man. That was a really clean fight.
What I try to do is she takes time when she goes up into the air, and she uses that like AoE attack. The AoE attack, and what I try to do is get as close as I can to her, just so she does lunge, because I feel like it's faster when she lunges, because if she lunges and miss, you can easily just target onto her and shoot her as much, obviously as fast as you can. As for when she goes up in the air, you kind of have to wait a little bit of time to dodge, and then you got to wait for her to actually come back down in order for her to register as a target. So, you kind of get what you get. She goes up in the air, cool. You just don't want to get hit by that melee attack, because if you get hit by that melee attack, it hurts. She hits hard, and it can put you in a bad place. So.
Yeah, she can swing for some really stupid damage, right?
She does.
Usually it's pretty telegraphed, and if you stand in advantageous spots, you can, more often than not predict whether or not she's going to swing. But sometimes, like you saw Chris right there, he's doing a good job of staying in the sweet spot to get her to swing, and occasionally it's just up to her. And if she wants to fly up in the air, she's just going to do that, much to everybody's dismay.
If Eve gonna fly, she gonna fly. There's no holding her back. All right, so he's explaining to his dad, "Hey, Dad, Mom and everybody turned into Jello," and he's like, "All right, that sucks." And now we're back to the scene where they're explaining pretty much to go ahead. Hey, what's our next move with Eve? And they're planning to go ahead and evacuate the city. He's freaking out because Aya's missing, and his superior officer, who is Baker, the big boy in the middle, he just tells them to chill out. So.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody once mentioned to me that like Daniel isn't more. I said that Daniel seems to be more susceptible to Eve or the presence of Eve than other people, and someone said, well, it's never mentioned that, but when you enter the park, he kind of, his sleeve catches fire and he's like, well, I can't go in there. But meanwhile, there's like a whole crowd of people in there that have yet to, they eventually melt, but they weren't yet melted. So it's interesting to see Daniel and his reaction to Eve, and him just being around her, and kind of how that's handled. And the game does a really fun job of that, and you'll see a good deal of that a little bit later. But right now you're introduced to Shiva. So Shiva is this lovely dog right here. Unfortunately, the NYPD budgets were pretty slim. They could only afford one dog apparently, and 3 cages. But get used to Shiva. She's great. Everybody's favorite character. So I'm sure you guys will learn to love her in time.
We are raising donations for Shiva. No, but Shiva, this part always cracked me up. For those obviously who know about the run in day 3 and the final boss in day 3, you know what to expect. As for people who are not aware of the game, day 3 is about to come up, and you are about to find out, because the NYPD is our next dungeon per se, and you'll find out who our next boss will be. That may be a big giveaway, but you'll see.
You're right here. This character, in the blue jacket you're seeing, I think this is the first time he's introduced. His name is Maeda, or Maeda, or there's a lot of different ways people pronounce it, but however you pronounce it, his role is the same. He's a pretty neat character who bridges the gap, so to speak, between the Parasite Eve novel, which is kind of where this all began, as far as Parasite Eve as a whole, and the game that Square kind of took and made their own little story. He comes over from Japan. He says that there was an incident in Japan that took place, something similar here, and once that happened, he came to America out of fear, basically, that that it could happen here. And he saw Aya's press conference where she blurted out about mitochondria, despite her superior clearly telling her not to. But she lives by her own rules, does her own thing, and one thing led to another, and Maeda came all this way to find her, and that's kind of where he's at right now. And as you can see, he does run into her. He's watching some lovely TV while she sleeps in whatever kind of bed that is, and in this lovely New York City apartment.
Yeah, you would think just because New York City evacuated, it's not the end of the world or like post-apocalyptic. So A, why is there a trash can on fire in an apartment building? I have no idea. And B, why did you just check for the thermostat and bump it up? That's another thing I don't know, but we'll never know. Those are the minor things in this game.
Yeah, I got to imagine, like, whatever they were burning in there, it's burning really clean. It's burning super clean, because, like, this whole room would be just I know that he's going to vent the size of, like, an 80-inch TV over there.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm like, yo, how are you guys breathing?
Yeah, they're breathing that fine quality air somehow. Corona King is saying, wait, doesn't everyone use burning trash barrels to heat their home in the winter? Maybe.
Once a year, I like to burn the belongings of everything that I want to forget at the end of the year, and I like to think that's what they're doing here, right? Burning away all the bad memories.
Yes. I think it's their resolution for the previous year that they never got to. That they burn, and they're looking forward to the new year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's got to be an explanation, right? We're just spitballing here. You guys kind of, develop what you want about this whole situation. Clearly, it's not affected the cleanliness of the room, so I guess that's good for everybody.
For all the things that do not spark joy, I think that's what Eve is doing right now. Anything that doesn't spark joy in the Christmas spirit, it's up in flames. So now we're about to go ahead. Day 2 is going to end. And after day 2, we are going to day 3, obviously. And this is where we go ahead and pick up, I believe, our third weapon that we go ahead and get, which would be the M11. It's our introduction to... Oh, crap. It's our introduction to machine guns in the game. So machine guns are interesting because machine guns, they don't have the mechanic that allow you to choose your target. Your target is at random, but the hit rate, I believe, is higher. I can't remember. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, Palmer. Because from what I read, I know the hit rate doesn't, it's higher, but like the trade-off is like you can't choose which enemy that you're allowed to hit.
Yeah. More. That's pretty much it. The SMGs in the game, on top of having like the fastest firing animation, they also have the fastest native ATB aside from the club. And what Chris is mentioning here is the random targeting, which is an interesting little thing about SMGs specifically. When you have Rate of Fire 2 on the SMG, which if you're familiar with this game, there's multiple versions of Rate of Fire, multiple iterations of it. But when you have Rate of Fire 2, you get what's called random targeting in exchange for a third bullet that fires very, very often. So often that you expect it more often than not. And that bullet is actually unpenalized. So every time that you add an additional bullet in Rate of Fire, it's going to reduce. So Rate of Fire 1, single shot, is going to do 100% damage. Rate of Fire 2 is going to do 66% damage for each of the bullets, and it's going to continue on, as you increase Rate of Fire. A lot of people would like to think add Rate of Fire 9 and just mow down everything, but unfortunately, it's not really how it works. So we found a really awesome sweet spot by having Rate of Fire 2, which comes out quickly, and at the cost of being able to target things, you get an additional bullet that does completely unpenalized damage. So the potential damage rate is like extremely high comparatively. And also, like, one thing that's worth mentioning is not having to choose your target and kind of letting the gun do it for you saves you a lot of stress and trouble. Like, you just kind of position advantageously, and you just mash X, and you hope the things die in the order at which you like. And only at a few times are we fighting things, bosses and such, where there's more than one target and it becomes an issue. But some fortunate positioning should usually be able to minimize that. So.
Yeah, I've when I started learning the game, like I had maybe 1 or 2 completions under my belt, and I got to this point right here, and I totally forgot to go ahead and when I was telling you in the beginning of the run, when you go ahead and optimize these weapons, you got to make sure, and I'm sorry, I'm picking up a second revive just to be safe. Normally we'll just run out once we get in because I still had the first one, but I'm picking up the second just to be safe. Getting back to the optimization, you want to go ahead and be careful. You want to be fast but careful, because as soon as you mess up that rate of fire with the machine gun, it can be very hard to recover from. Because, like Palmer was explaining, the more what I found out, obviously, the more bullets you have with the rate of fire, the less damage you take. Oh crap! All right, I'm gonna stop talking now.
You're fine. Yeah, but that's a very good point. Gun menus are, and part of the reason why is because when you strip something off of a gun, you lose that gun completely. So it's not as simple as just like, okay, we'll go redo it. You then have to, think in your noggin, like, okay, I gotta find a gun somewhere along the way that has, comparable stats, as well as another tool in order to fix this mistake. And in a marathon, normally you could just reset, but in a marathon, obviously, it's a little different. And Chris is displaying right now for us, very kind of him, to display one of the harder bosses in the game, which is triggers. Car doors, elevators, you name it, man.
Oh, I hate that door.
It really is so much harder than it looks, I swear to you guys. It is, he is not just lollygagging. It is, that one specifically might be one of the hardest things in the entire game to hit. It's rough. Because obviously a lot of the backgrounds here are pre-rendered, so where the actual triggers are and where like hitboxes and things like that are, it's not always very clear, and it takes a lot of getting used to. So yeah, no, that's I've fought with that door so much in my life that it's made me irate.
Corona, you are correct. There was some anger here that was showing that I want to make sure that I did not display in a very loud tone because of that door, and to have to go back accidentally and do it again is another like, crap, why did that happen?
This is the Parasite Eve experience, ladies and gentlemen. He's just giving you the full show. That's all.
Yes. The things, what to expect, especially when you first run this. These are the things you must do in order to get better timing.
Yeah, oh, exactly. And like to tell a new runner, yeah, you got to hit this door in this specific spot. Like they're like, okay, whatever. And then it's like you can't, it's hard to put to words. You have to just do it and struggle for a while before you finally understand it. It's crazy. But real quickly, this is a good time. I wanted to answer Showrun's question in chat. He said, why is it called the cinematic RPG? Well, as you can see right here, there's a lot of cutscenes. I believe 28 minutes worth of cutscenes in the entirety of the speed run, which is why we used to do things a little bit differently as far as timing is concerned. And you can actually see that your in-game time at the end will not count time you spent in cutscenes or on the world map. So that's usually a good idea for like how long you've played, and you can figure the difference between how many cutscenes you've watched. But at the time in the 98 when this game was released, these cutscenes were pretty robust. I mean, comparative to a lot of things that were going on, this was a very, they wanted this to play out almost like a movie game. And it holds true to that. Unfortunately, you can't skip any of the cutscenes much, but there are good breaks every now and then, And in this game, sometimes your hand needs a break because there's a lot of text. It turns out as well.
If I'm correct, this came out in '99, right? So
I think it came out in '98. '98. And not Final Fantasy 9 was in '99. This came out between 7 and 8. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I would say there was not many cinematic RPGs. Like Final Fantasy 8, you can for sure say was it was a long RPG that had a lot of cutscenes, but I'm not sure if that would you call that a cinematic RPG, or because this is more of like an action RPG that's more movie-like than your traditional Final Fantasies.
Exactly, and I like to think that like the cutscenes in this game are very, very pivotal key elements to furthering the story along. And like you're looking at this right here, and this is a through this standard biology lab microscope, we're seeing things here at an atomic level. Like it wants to give you the real kind of, you're in for a treat. You can watch, you can play, and that is kind of the unique charm of the game, because not a lot of games are doing that at the time, where it weaved in between story and action and stuff like that. It's pretty clever in the way that it is orchestrated. And yeah, there was a Parasite Eve movie based on the novel that came out right before this game. So I think that part of the cinematic RPG element kind of was a nod to that as well. Wanting to be a tribute in that fashion. And it's actually Square's first rated M title, so they were trying a lot with this game. They it was something new compared to like the fantasy element style RPGs they were making at the time. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 is the first game Square made that was this polygonal. There's so many polygons compared to something like Final Fantasy 7, and a lot of these character models were built upon for what ended up being Final Fantasy 8, and obviously rated M, kind of a more realistic, real New York setting. It was a game that they were trying a lot on, which is maybe why it wasn't Final Fantasy 7 and 8 level of reception, but that's kind of left it in this unique spot, which is part of why myself, I'm sure Chris and a lot of the others know and appreciate the game the way they do now.
Yeah. And it's definitely what drew me to run the game. Like you get lost with most of the games that are big hits back then, like Final Fantasy 7 and 8. And I use the Final Fantasy a lot because it is big, especially over here in the West. But Parasite Eve to me is definitely a hidden charm because of what Palmer was explaining, what Square Enix was trying, or Squaresoft at the time was trying to do. And just unique. I feel like the attack system, like the actual battle system of you being able to move around and then stop and pick your target to attack. It was definitely different than your traditional, turn-based. So even it is turn-based, but it didn't feel like it's turn-based, if that makes sense. Alright, so now we're on our way to the NYPD. And Mach speed again. There's only one speed this car has, and it's Mach speed.
Yeah, it's fast. It's very fast. That's the speed. It has one gear. It goes from neutral to fast.
Now we're finding out why in the world is the NYPD trashed. And they're going to explain that Eve is in this building. But it's funny because technically Eve is not found in this building. I'm going to say she is. She's not found in here. Or at least not that I know of.
Yeah, a lot of really annoying stuff is found in this building, though, it turns out. So
yes.
she's definitely left her mark. And obviously the place is trashed, and that's not a poor reaction to budget cuts or anything like that. It's like a legitimate concern. People are a little beat up, and now Maida gives something to you just saw, and that's actually a charm. And for us speedrunning, they're nothing more than a nuisance, because they just fill up your inventory and you have to sort them out at the NYPD or whatever. But there's a couple charms he gives you in the game that you can't get rid of. And the reason for that, though, is they're placeholders, actually, so that you can carry over your gun and armor when you do a New Game Plus run, so that you don't botch that, which is a fun little factoid. But yeah, otherwise, they're completely annoying. Just like junk, you just hate to see them.
And unfortunately, unlike junk, you can't discard it. So we have layoff number 1, unfortunately, with Torres. He is leaving the NYPD permanently as casualty number 1 that we run into. And now Wayne is going to go ahead and take his spot. So we're going to go ahead here, and we're going to put these key items into the box because we don't need useless things to be taking up more space. We'll get this medicine. And now we're gonna go off. Oh, okay, cool. There's a random encounter. Sometimes we may either get an encounter again on that spot or not. So, and here is layoff officer number 2. And now the banger happens. Now, if you've noticed in the past screen, she was missing. Yeah, we're about to find out why.
Yeah, and to Chris's point there with the encounters, the way that encounters work in this game are a little different than the Final Fantasy games that were released at the time. The way that they're orchestrated is on a screen. If there's going to be a fight, you're going to 100% get that fight. It's guaranteed. It's fixed, right? Well, every time you traverse a screen more than once where there was a fixed fight, the chance to get another fight, a re-encounter as we like to call them, is 50%, so it's reduced by half. And every time you traverse that screen multiple times, it keeps getting half to a minimum of about 12%. But there's 16 screens that we'll go through twice in the game, and there is one screen I believe we go through 3 times. But otherwise, any fight that you see, if it's not a screen we've previously visited, is a fight that we have to take. There's 2 exceptions to that in the sewers a little bit later on, and boy, do we hope we don't see those, because they are annoying.
I agree. I do agree. So right now, Ben is chasing Shiva. And Shiva, on the cutscene before, at the end of day 2, and thank goodness we skipped this encounter coming back, Shiva was nice and calm, but now she seems a bit more agitated. And Ben is trying to chase her to figure out why. So here we're also going to go ahead and get our vest. And I'm also going to use that. Let me make sure that I don't make this mistake twice, because I did that last time. And so the vest that I just picked up, not only, I'm not sure if it was better than the other one as in defense-wise, but it has an ability that uses your medicine in your inventory when you get hit. And it's like an auto heal in a way, so that you don't have to spend a turn to heal. It heals automatically. But there's also a downside to that, which is if your enemy decides to hit you more than what your HP has. So I have 60, and for some reason these enemies hit me with 63, it's not going to auto heal. You're just pretty much going to die. So you kind of have to be careful with how you decide to try to auto heal.
Yeah, the chemical vests in this game, which is this CM vest you just picked up, they're so handy. You know, like Chris mentioned, it saves a turn to heal. If you have medicine in your inventory and you fall below, it's like right around 30% or something like that HP total, it'll pop a heal. And that's super handy because there's certain fights in this game where you're like, I feel really safe. I know these guys can't like snipe me outside of that range, and you're confident it can, you know, your vest is going to take care of you. And the other luxury that has is, you know, your inventory is very limited in this game. It's real small. It gets a little bit bigger and bigger as you level up and whatnot, but it is still, you know, even at the end of the game, quite limited. And you get a lot of medicine 1, 2, 3, and 4. They all take up one space. So it also serves to thin your inventory a little bit. So you have to spend less time manually getting rid of medicines and things like that might be bogging down your inventory.
So
it's a
real quick,
handy
Palmer,
piece.
I'm sorry for cutting you off. This is the part where we said we want you to donate as much as you can to go. We love dogs. I love dogs, but this game does not. And please turn away now, because if you don't like what's gonna happen to Shiva, she's going to turn into a pain in the butt. A dog with 3 heads, a big laser beam, and an amount of pain in the rear when you are first learning this. Go ahead, Palmer. I apologize again.
No, you're absolutely good, man. You're absolutely good. Yeah, Shiva, to your point, Shiva is my least favorite boss in the whole game to fight. For a lot of what we just mentioned, actually, she has a very impressive ability to snipe you out of that range we talked about, where your vest will heal you. She has like just the perfect amount of abilities that work against the safety that your vest has when it heals you. She has a move that will half HP you, and then a bite that can finish off that final half. So sometimes you're just left in a situation where there's nothing you can do, and you have to eat a revive, which is why Chris has a couple in his inventory now. It's always nice to have, especially in this marathon situation, because she's annoying.
Yeah, she is. Very
And yeah,
annoying.
multiple heads with a gun that targets randomly. That is also a pain in the butt. As well as she can heal herself. So sometimes the fight drags on and on. It's just, man, Shiva she's something else.
Alright, so right here we're gonna go, I'll just do it here. So we're gonna go ahead and reload our gun, because our next room after the next will be our Shiva fight. So we're gonna go ahead and take, we do have a tool, I believe it's NoHA19. We're gonna take that there, so we can get a little bit more attack. And I think that's if I'm forgetting anything, then it's gonna suck, but hey.
No, you were good to go, man. You nailed it. You nailed it. And yeah, it's funny because when you're doing runs, you're familiar with the menus and stuff like that, and they're not so worrisome. But when you're in a marathon and you're trying to slow it down for safety, sometimes that slowing down makes you stare at it and be like, "Is this right?" Mm-hmm. So I can't say how many gun menus I've screwed up in marathons, and I was like, "Well, who knows what's gonna happen?" I sure don't.
Yeah, no, especially like I'm always trying to figure out, all right, I should move pretty fast. And alright, thank goodness that I should use that. As you can see, that lunge and there's beam is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, that lunge move you're seeing there can hit for the upwards of like I think almost over 70 damage, 76 or something like that, which is almost half your HP. So if she uses her AoE move, which reduces your HP by half, no matter what it's at, and then follows it up with that lunge, it can be a quick 1-2 punch to knock you out. She's pretty rough in that fashion, and then her laser beam is, it varies heavily in how much damage it can do as well. But you can also like bump into her to take contact damage and heal yourself if you're below a certain HP threshold, as long as you have, obviously the medicine to back that up. So sometimes you can play around it, but sometimes you just don't know how much damage you're gonna do. No, you're doing great, man. You're killing it. You're killing it.
No, I risk it there because you never really want to stay there with 37, because like Palmer was explaining, that bite would hurt, and if she went ahead and lunged with that type of HP that I had, I would have used one of the revives. And
yeah, you were definitely one hit away for sure. So he made it look easy. Nobody was even concerned, except for Chris. It was that was a good Shiva. I think that I saw one heal and then some skilled dancing to dodge those last couple of hits. You got to keep your revives, and coming out of Shiva with both revives is really the best case scenario, especially in a situation like this. So that was about as well as you can hope her to go, because it doesn't really get a whole lot better.
Yeah, it doesn't. But now we're at day 4. And to me, this day is the easiest. I felt like this day is kind of like a chill day. Don't get too crazy though, because the spider in the end, which is your final boss of day 4, can troll you, and you'll see there's a certain area that if the boss decides to go there, you can be out of range, and he can still use range attacks to hit you. But hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, you will see. But other than that, there are encounters in day 4. There's not much cutscenes on day 4, even though there may be 1 or 2 flashbacks, I believe. I can't think, but yeah, it's pretty chill, it's pretty easy, and that's where you beef up a lot.
Yeah, day 4, fortunately, not a lot of the enemies have the ability to like do a ton of damage. So it's usually a place where there's not a whole lot of kill pressure. You can kind of just pilot yourself between each screen, take the fights you need to take. But there are 4 fights in the or 4 screens rather in the hospital where we will take fights. And you'll see Chris will, I think you went 0 for 2 in the NYPD on repeat encounters, which is really favorable. And in the hospital, ideally you would go 0 for 4 on the repeat encounters there. No, it's not super likely, but you're starting to see that kind of repeat encounter start to rear its ugly head, and how much time you can save or lose as a result. And the hospital, like you mentioned, is usually a chill place, good music, you get a lot of medicines. There's not a whole lot of stress that takes place until obviously the end of it. So it is definitely one of my favorite parts of the run as well.
I like to call it the calm before the storm, because day 5 is where everything starts to hit the fan, and everything gets interesting, especially when it starts in the sewers, which is everyone's favorite place in the speedrun.
There's just so much packed into day 5 that is not excellent. They could have split it into 2 days for sure, but it is what it is, and we'll tackle it the best we can. But yeah, the hospital right now, the run used to be there was a reset point in the middle of it, but now it's real seamless. Primus, who was in chat a little bit ago, did a great job with getting rid of the reset element of it. So now it's pretty much just sit back, chill, and do a couple of little errands for Eve, and listen to some good music and footsteps, because you hear a lot of that.
You do hear a lot of footsteps in the beginning portion of it. So there is in the basement of the hospital, we're gonna run into we are gonna run in, and correct me if I'm wrong, Palmer, I believe our 3rd RNG chest. Our first one was at Central Park with the tool or the ammo, and then I can't remember where the second one was at, but
the second one would probably be if you picked up the defense chest a couple screens before the worms.
Yep, that was the second.
That one can give you a tool as well, although it's like 80-20 armor or 80-20 defense to tool. It might be 90-10, I don't know, but yeah, as Chris is mentioning, the chest that he's talking about in the hospital is a straight 50-50. It's the only in the entire game, as far as I'm aware, not counting Chrysler and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter a ton. It used to, but there is definitely one of the 50-50s that you prefer more than the other.
So which one do you prefer, Palmer? Because like me, I will let you know what I prefer out of me running this. Not for long. And you're the more veteran speedrunner on this game. So which one would you prefer? Would you prefer the Micro Uzi or the M10?
Yeah, ideally I would definitely like the Micro Uzi, but there is a caveat to it. The Micro Uzi, if you pick it up, you take about a 40-second time loss to go and do something extra in order for that gun to be good. And sometimes, that doesn't always pay off in the big way that you want it to, and you really just come back to right about breaking even. Whereas the M10, the other option is it gives you a little bit more up front. I believe it has a higher bullet capacity, slightly better range, and then it eventually just loses a little bit of time. But they're both so close that you can really not notice a ton as you're going through. So it's not like it's not like you're having to save and reset if you don't get one or the other, which is how it used to be. And it's definitely like this is what I got. Okay, cool. That's what we're doing. And that's definitely a luxury that we have in this game that a lot of speed games don't have.
That blew my mind, because I obviously started running maybe 3 months ago. I can't remember how fast it's been. But when I started running, it seemed to be optimized already. There was no reset run. So when people would come into the chat and say, oh yeah, I forgot who it was. Somebody came into my chat one time and explained, yeah, we used to reset in the middle of the hospital. I was like, yikes. Like, all the way to day 4, and if you didn't get one simple weapon that was a 50-50 shot, you would have to reset. That sounds painful.
Oh yeah, and it's almost dead smack in the middle of the run.
Yep.
And yeah, this room you're entering right here, obviously not at this point, but as you kind of come back past it a little bit later, you would save at this phone, go to the chest. If you didn't get the Uzi, you would soft reset, and you would boot it up until you did get the Uzi. And if your time got to a certain pace, if you didn't get it first try, you weren't going to PB. So Fortunately, Primus did an incredible job with changing a lot of things. The ATB BP distribution that we discussed earlier helped a little bit. But most importantly, the way that we end the game is not at all what it used to be with the final gun and what have you. And we have the luxury now of just, what you get is what you get, and you can PB, you can world record, you can do all that stuff with one or the other. It's not a big of a difference as it used to be, that's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the M10 because I don't know if you did mention this earlier, but at least the M10 you skip going into the warehouse to get the PPK and the tool. So it kind of is like, all right, I got the M10. Let me just go straight to Chinatown and let's do this. As for you get the micro Uzi, then it's like, all right, let me get. Why do I have a lot of these? I gotta get rid of some of these. Let me go ahead and go to the warehouse, but at the same time, I don't use poison. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, absolutely. To your point, when you get the M10, you know exactly like, okay, we're just continuing with the story. We're not making any detours, and that is a nice thought to have because you know that you're not having to like factor in. And when you're going to extra places, there's always the opportunity to go to one place twice and things like that. So it's definitely a little less brain work for sure, and that's sometimes nice. But the PPK that Chris mentioned when you go to the warehouse, if you do get the micro Uzi, is there's an effect on it called Quick Draw, which gives you a percentage chance to start a fight with max ATB. Now, that's not, that's super useful when it works, but every time that it saves, every time that you do get it, it saves about 3 seconds. Now, there are situations where that's not the case. Like some fights, you have to move before you can even get in range, so like having full ATB right away is not always helpful. And occasionally it just doesn't proc enough for it to have made up the time it took to go to Chinatown, or to go to the warehouse, to begin with. So yeah, I absolutely totally understand if somebody was like, yo, I just like getting the M10 and going about my business. That totally makes sense.
I was about to go. I'm like, did I just get that chest? I forgot I swapped.
Do we have a moment?
Yeah, sure.
Nothing donation related, although I can do a charity shot if you want me to later, but just a quick scheduling update. The Resident Evil 5 co-op run unfortunately has to be dropped from the schedule due to internet issues on the runners, and I think I announced that on stream. But we already have a backup lined up. We're gonna have oh wait, the schedule didn't update for me. I was gonna read it off the schedule and it didn't. We're gonna have Snowlit Ice doing Lego The Incredibles free play RTA, and Streets of Rogo Mutator Percent for that slot. That fills that slot exactly.
Sweet.
And back to you.
All right. You want to get that. You want to get that as fast as possible, but it's all right if you overrun that. So, here is the room. She'll see them, and this is the chest where we got the 50-50. This is where we go ahead and get the M10.
There you go. There you go. Everything is easy, and there'll be no extra trips.
I think the only downside about getting the M10 and not getting that, let me go ahead. Hold on. Let me hold that thought.
You definitely save everybody's ears from ice bullets, which is, if you get the micro Uzi, you'll equip it with ice bullets when you go to the museum, and boy, that is one of the most god-awful noises on Earth. So now you guys can all rest easy. You won't be having to hear the so I can just do it myself if you'd like.
Sorry, I just brain farted there. Because I shouldn't need the M. All right, this is what I'm gonna do because that threw me off for a loop. I forgot I totally picked up this M9, and I don't need it. So
yeah, that's Shiva's gun right there.
Yeah, that threw me off. I'm like, what's going on? But I believe
it really
I
do be like that. No, yeah, you're good. You're good to go, man. And Primus is making fun of me in chat. I saw it, Primus. I went to Chinatown twice, once in a PB, and everybody made fun of me. So yeah, you can go to Chinatown twice on accident, but now because we have the M10, that won't be an issue. So Glad Primus had a giggle in his igloo in Canada. I appreciate it, my man. Primus is the guy who taught me pretty much everything about this game. So we have a very friendly relationship. Shouts to that. He's a great dude, and he actually wrote the notes that a lot of people still use to this day to learn this game. And man, if they aren't the most detailed, impressive speedrun notes, like you can pick up this game so fast. You literally follow the notes to the T, and you're done with the run. It's really that easy. So if you're interested in running the game, that resource is available to you along with a few others. So.
Yes, and I like the second on that one. That's how I ended up learning. I got his notes, and I ended up just studying and pretty much practicing one day at a time. Like, day one, and making save states there, and then doing day two, and then trying to run a full run from day one to day two, and so on and so forth. And the notes are very, very detailed and handy. So don't feel just because like this is an RPG and this is yikes, it's almost 3 hours. It is a very, I wouldn't say easy, there has some challenging moments, but it is very fun, and it's easy to pick up is what I mean. So
oh yeah, it's very, very easy to get into. The skill floor to the barrier to entry is almost non-existent. Super easy, but there is also, like, if you want to grind out your time, and there's definitely a lot of things that you can learn and get better at as well. So the potential like skill ceiling is also there, which makes it kind of a a lot of people come in and they do one run and they're done and they're happy with it, and there's also that incentive as well to continue on and push your PBs down. So it's a good game. It's got a lot of flexibility in that respect.
You're probably wondering, Chris, why don't you go ahead and heal? I've seen that you've gotten hit a lot, and not only you got hit a lot, you don't heal your poison. Well, when you get poisoned, obviously you see the dots, the damage over time. But there's more. The way I look at it is, when you're poisoned and you're only taking 3 damage per tick, eventually you're not really gonna die off of that, because your armor will end up auto healing you at some point when you're pretty high up there. So there's, it's time consuming for me to go ahead and try to waste a turn to heal poison when I could just wait until the auto heal kicks up. But if I'm very low on HP, then that's when I will go ahead and take that turn, because that's where you don't want to risk it.
Yeah, especially in a marathon.
Yeah, especially in a marathon.
You've done a pretty impeccable job thus far of minimizing risk and things like that. Obviously, Shiva goes one way, but when you got revives in the pocket, whatever.
It helps, yeah.
It's worth mentioning that the 3 screens, this one that he's currently on, as well as the previous 2, are 3 of the repeat encounter screens. The very, very first screen that we took a fight on was a repeat, and he did get that one. So right now, I believe you are 1 for 3 on repeat encounters, which is pretty typical and not at all a bad ordeal. This screen, however, is the one you don't want to get a repeat encounter on, because as you can see, it's a lot of enemies, big screen, takes a little bit of time. So
yes. And at one point, it seemed like I was stuck on the upper right corner, just getting hit by all types of poison and green.
Yeah, those little poison balls, they when they hit you, you go into like a quarter second of hit stun, and if they spread them out, and you can get tagged and get stuck in place, and then you got the bee that wants to slow you with its little vomit. And
I think I would rather get poisoned than get slowed, because that slow is just brutal.
Yeah, there's actually, between those guys and the mixed man, the hospital is just made to slow you down and aggravate you, but there's no kill pressure whatsoever. So you just gotta grin and bear it and hope that your 4 screens of repeat encounters go well. And so far we're about to find out on this dice roll of the next 3 screens, this one being one of them, what the coin flip ends up being.
So what, we're 1 for 4 right now, right?
1 for 3.
1 for 3, okay. I'm going to
1 for 3.
Take this time. I want to go ahead and use, at this point, as many medicine 1s, because, alright, sweet, we passed this room. Let's see. Alright, pass this room 2. We want to get rid of medicine 1s at this point. I think medicine 2s would just be better, and they drop a lot more frequently in the hospital. So if I do have medicine 1s, then this would be the time to just go ahead and use them, and then try to stock up on the med 2s as much as I can. So.
Yeah, this ended up being 2 for 6 repeat encounters, which is good. One thing that's worth mentioning is at the end of the game, you need to be a certain level, so it's not all bad sometimes getting repeat encounters. You want like the perfect amount of them, which is a good mixture of certain ones in certain places. Now, ideally, you know, in a perfect world, you would get only the most EXP worthy ones towards the end and dodge everything else, but that's not really always how it shakes up. And the difference between being the correct level at the end and not is pretty substantial and scary. So, you know, sometimes you take an encounter now and you're like, oh, dang it, I got this encounter. And then at the end of the game, you're exactly where you need to be. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. I know a lot of people ask me, like, why are you not resetting if you got encounters you don't want? But, you know, that's kind of part of it.
As long as you hit that magical number, which is 33, you, encounters is not that bad. So.
Yeah, this big poison guy right here is the Chris just dismantled. He's annoying, and he can do some sneaky amount of damage. He can also drop a vest, which you sometimes just smash through, and then you're like, what the heck, what is this? And you're like, oh, god dang it.
Yep. You're in the middle of day 5 sorting through your inventory and like, where did I get this armor from? I don't know where I got it. And
yeah, you don't pick up a medicine. You drop a medicine 4 to the ground because you got this ugly piece of equipment just sitting in your inventory. Or you get to centipede with less medicine than you'd like to.
You guys will witness the centipede, and hopefully it decides not to troll today. But
it's gonna go amazing. It's gonna be seamless. Yes. It's gonna be beautiful. We gotta wish it. We gotta speak it into the universe. It'll happen.
But yes, that is another annoying fight. But it is not as bad as Shiva to me. To me, I feel like the easiest boss fight would be the spider coming up, and I will explain why, at least for me. Once we get there, which should be in the next couple minutes. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. Shiva is by far my least favorite boss to fight. You know, as you start to understand worms and kind of get the hang of it and learn to deal with it, same thing with Centipede, it becomes less scary, whereas Shiva is like, sometimes it's all or nothing, sometimes she just kills you, and that's where your run ends up. But I want to talk about these mixed men that Chris just killed here, the big ugly guy with all kinds of limbs. They're so annoying. They have 2 attacks. One is to slow you, and when you're slowed, it's not just your ATB, it's also your physical movement, which makes it harder to dodge things. As well as like your attacks come out slower, your turns as a whole come out slower, and then their other attack is they release this ball that bounces around the screen, and we have a gun that targets randomly. So more targets and being slowed is like the complete opposite of what we want ideally. And boy, are these guys like to give it to you.
Alright, so I'm going to use energy shot here since I believe I did hit him, and hopefully this will get rid of him. So it prevents him from using that move that Palmer was just talking about that can go ahead and slow you down.
Yeah, slow in this game is one of the more debilitating status effects, just because, like I mentioned, your movement as well as your ability to take turns are both tied to it. So sometimes you almost look like you're slipping on ice as you're trying to run, and it's super aggravating, especially because when you get hit with things or you take contact damage, you get into like this little weird hit stun for a brief period of time, and it just all ramps up very quickly. It's more annoyance than anything, but there's a lot of annoyance from those guys, that's for sure. And to your point earlier, Corona King in chat, challenging and menuing. Yeah, there is I would have to say that a lot of the challenge in the run is obviously screen memorization, because one thing that's worth mentioning is when you go from one screen to the next, you can start holding the direction, and as that screen loads, you can take a few steps, so that will save time throughout the course of the run. menuing, obviously. Boss fights, kind of like getting strategies down and a little, more contained and micromanaged and things like that. So there's a lot of like small things. You're not having to work out any duplication glitches or out of bounds or huge skips or anything like that. So the game, the improvement aspect is like, just cleaning things up, which is very nice, especially for runners who want to get into their first RPG speed game and things like that. It's purely muscle memory and practice, and when you play this game multiple times, you're gonna get better. It's it has that luxury.
All right, so we're gonna see our Navy for the first time in the game. Trying to take their action on you, and they are going to learn quickly that it's not as easy as
Yeah, the city has been evacuated, but still at the same time, I'm just blown away by their willingness to just fly jets through the middle of New York City.
I forgot to reload, and just for safe measure, let me just sort. Okay. So as soon as I get out of here and I take maybe 1 or 2 steps off of the elevator, the boss fight will begin. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is cast haste and get close to the boss as fast as possible. And the reason you want to go ahead and do that is this spider has an annoying move, which it will go ahead and cast. You know what? I'm gonna let Palmer take the rest.
Yeah, I got you, man. I got you. Go ahead and get it, man. Yeah, so this spider has, you can actually tell at the very beginning of the fight whether or not it's gonna be annoying or not. If the spider takes a couple steps back for its first movement, the odds are pretty likely you're not gonna reach it in time, and it's gonna release a web attack, which it gives you slow, which is actually called stiffness in this game, but it doesn't just slow you, it roots you in place. So you can be out of range to do damage and just sitting there as it just pummels you with that fire attack that you just saw, that little fireball thing. And it can do a sneaky amount of damage. Now, fortunately, the spider is pretty good about doing exactly what it needs to in order for the vest to help you out and heal you. But if you do get slowed, it's not great. But yeah, great fight, man. Great fight. That was real clean, pretty quick. You can't complain. That's about as well as you can hope it goes.
My practice run yesterday, for the first time since I've been running this game, I was away from the spider on this second phase, and he used his web attack. And I feel like in the second phase, you have a much smaller space than you would in the first phase. And it could be me because the camera view is a little bit more, zoomed out on the first phase. But yeah, it was trouble. I didn't want to run into that one again during the marathon. So I'm glad that.
The depth perception in this game is wild. As Chris is saying, the first screen is obviously very large, very square, whereas the second screen is like a long rectangle. So it goes deep, like very far back. But as far as width, it's very slim compared to the first one. So yeah, if you get stuck, you can fortunately cast haste and get rid of it. But if you step into the web again, which is still there, you'll be rerouted. So it's such a pain. He did a great job of staying exactly where he needed to, dodging the attacks he needed to, and that fight went off pretty much without a hitch. But we did have, there's a runner named Plywood, great dude. He actually, I was watching once when he was doing a run for a PB, and he accidentally got rid of his vest right before this fight. Accidentally inventoried it out, and he had to do the whole fight with no armor. And man, it was so fun. It was all over the place.
Yikes. Unfortunately,
we have our vest, and a lot of the I think you only use like two medicines that whole fight, which is pretty conservative. That's nice. You'll be moving on to the next best day with some good resources.
All right, that was pretty good. Spider, small spider. Why use jets when the NYPD cars are much faster, Corona? That's a good question. I feel like in this game, the cars go a lot more faster than the jets, and yeah, I'm not sure why. only Daniel's physical form is capable of
of piloting a vehicle traveling at the speed of light. That's what I'm gonna go with.
All right. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and make our way back to the NYPD for a couple more dialogue scenes, and then that should be the end of day 4, and we're coming up to the longest day of the game, and at the end, towards the end of this one, which would be Chinatown, the sewers, and then the museum. So should be pretty fun from here.
Yeah, all in all, you got 2 encounters, and they were both, all right screens to get them. 2 for 6 on repeat encounters is good. Your resources are good. The hospital went well. Got the M10, so we won't have to worry about going to the warehouse or anything like that. It's looking like you're pretty comfortable right now. Both revives in your pocket. Things are going well.
But it is Parasite Eve, and
oh yeah,
things can take a turn for the worse very fast. So you don't want to get too confident, because this game will shoot it down fast. But just don't be too lax either. So make sure you take your time, be conservative, and especially on this marathon run,
Yeah, you want to be in that sweet spot of mostly paying attention, kind of just a lot of what is nice is when you're mashing, you kind of like detach your brain for a minute, so you think about other things, so you don't realize that your hand is crying out in pain, and you just and you try not to die on boss fights. But 2 revives is sometimes not enough revives. We're gonna have to hope that that things go well, but right now we're at least set up for success, so that's the best we can ask for at this point.
Alright, so day 5 it is. And now we're going to go straight to a screen, and we're going to go to Chinatown. So this is where you can go ahead and split what we were talking about with the M10 and the micro Uzi. We don't need to go to the warehouse to pick up the PVK and the extra tool in order to get the quick draw ability. So we're going to go straight to Chinatown, and then we're going to go ahead and just continue on through the day. So Parasite Daniel. I wonder if that would be, wouldn't that work?
Couldn't have been worse than the 3rd birthday.
So I have not played the 3rd birthday. So somebody mentioned about it, and I knew about it, and I was like, oh man, I want to try it. I love Parasite Eve 1 and 2, and maybe the 3rd birthday is good. And then I saw it and was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah,
what did they do?
it's funny. A little side story lore lesson thing that I was taught once is that after the 2nd game came out, the author of Parasite Eve retracted her rights. She didn't like how they had sexualized Aya a little bit in the 2nd game, which is fair. Whatever, it's her story. So when they made Parasite Eve, the characters they could keep, or I'm sorry, the 3rd birthday, the characters they could keep because they were unique and Square owned them. They just couldn't call it a Parasite Eve game. And then as far as the sexualization went, they were like, you know what? Now that we don't have the rights, let's just kick it up to 100, and then boom, that's 3rd birthday.
Brutal.
In a nutshell.
Brutal. I saw that and was just like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, it is something else, that's for sure.
But I don't know. In my own time, I may still play it and run it, but I have no desire to at the moment. So.
Rudy, who's just a runner of this game, as well as a whole bunch of other good games. He's played it and run it, and he speaks very highly of it. Now, I've seen the other games he runs and speaks highly of as well, so that's not 100% convincing. But supposedly the speed run makes up for a little bit of what the gameplay lacks in the 3rd birthday. Now, I for one am not willing to put that to the test, but somebody more brave than myself, maybe Chris, eventually will.
Maybe we will see. But as of right now, there's not. We won't count on it.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda just yet.
It's not on the agenda. Alright, so I'm just gonna... These... Go figure! It wouldn't... Alright, so these are one of the most annoying enemies in the game. And you can see why. They hit that move, and when they do... it literally, it casts Dark Element, which is pretty much blind. and that happens. You lose time, you lose everything.
Sanity.
Yeah,
a little
sanity, as you can sense.
Ammo. Yeah, these bats are frustration manifested into creatures on the screen, that's for sure. And one of the weird ways that like Parasite Eve works is if an enemy can inflict an ailment on you, that enemy will then drop the curative item for that ailment. Now the issue is because we haven't fought anything with darkness yet, the only way to cure it is to defeat it. So this first fight that you're seeing that Chris just finished is one you just gotta muscle through. And unfortunately, you pick up usually one cure D or two. So if you happen to have to fight more bats and you do get darkness or any other enemy that gives it to you, you can usually have that in the back pocket, keep one on you or whatever. But man, they're never not frustrating. They can absolutely kill PB faces all by themselves. They're just the worst. And that noise is annoying.
Yes.
Like me. I'm like, I hear it in my sleep.
So that bat fight didn't.
Yeah, that was clean.
I held my breath there for a second because these next two screens are not 100% encounter rates, but you can get into an encounter in these two screens. Yep.
And that four-way intersection screen is, in my opinion, the worst non-boss encounter screen in the entire game. You can get 2 snakes and 2 bats. You're fighting poison, you're fighting range, you're fighting blindness, trying not to step on stuff. I mean, it is ugly. It can take like a whole minute or two, and if your PB doesn't have that fight in it, that's time you're just eating.
Mm-hmm. So we weren't as lucky on the 4th screen, but it was a little bit more cleaner than I thought it would have been. So I didn't have to really use or take time to use Cure D. I was able to get as close as I could to the bat and be able to land some hits. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and hope to do on this next bat, and then we should be. If I'm correct, we should be good with bats after this.
Yeah, that'll be the single bat here, which you just gotta run at and hope you get to him before he blinds you.
And
that, thankfully,
he got me, but that's okay.
It's almost impossible to dodge because of how thin this walkway, this catwalk is, or whatever. You just kind of have to run at him and hope that like the game is nice. But Chris was very fortunate; he hit without even having to cure it or anything through the blindness, which is. He fired some caps off and they all landed, which is nice. But you can see just the massive amount of cure Ds that ended up getting put in his inventory. It's almost a slap in the face. It's like, here you go, now you can have them.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm gonna do is I've gotten rid of some cure M's and some cure D's. I'm gonna hold on to a couple just because the boss here can, if he does hit me with a certain attack that he does, it can cause darkness, so I want to keep those just in case. Also, later on during this day, in the museum, there's also enemies, the pterodactyls, that will use a status element attack that will cause darkness as well. So, to be on the safe side, I at least want 2 of those, and then get rid of the rest of the stuff. So. And we just found our friends from Central Park, the Jello crew.
I like to think that somewhere Daniel's wife is in there amongst that snack pack looking blog we got going on.
Oh no, I'm sure she is. He called out a couple times, so I'm assuming that he feels some sort of connection to that big giant snack pack of Jello. So.
I like to think that that's Lorraine right up there on that wall, that little spot, just watching over us.
Right. Just a nice chill one, like, I'm not going down there. You can do what you want.
And if you were familiar with Stranger Things Season 3, anybody? I like to think that some of that inspiration came from this game. Very, the gelatinous ooze that takes shape and all that. That's pretty Parasite Eve, man.
I have a confession to make. I have not watched any Stranger Things. I heard so many good things about it, and I need to do it. But
well, you're so busy playing Parasite Eve. That's understandable.
I know, right?
Yeah, you can't do both.
Gotta grind that time on that PE, man. for sure. So now we're gonna go ahead and get to the subway. This is not that long. We're pretty much almost to the boss fight. We have one encounter that we run into, and then from there we will go ahead and just get ready for the fight itself. So, it's been a while. I am gonna take a safety save on a payphone. Who does payphone? We're gonna go ahead and pick up this medicine 3.
Yeah, and as you can see, man, saving in this game is not a fast ordeal. It is a slow process. And there's one of my favorite things Chris just showcased for you guys is objects that aren't there. That's always a treat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he hit me, but it's...
Yeah, this little mole guy is annoying, and he can dish out some serious damage if he strings some attacks on you. But he does drop a Cure P, which is nice because the centipede inflicts a pretty disgusting poison on you, so it's nice to have in your back pocket. And he's worth a fat chunk of EXP. He's got a medicine 3 at the end of the screen. It's not a bad little dude. You don't hate to see him.
Not as bad. I should have kept some Cure Ps, but I like to just, yeah. Here's the Cure P that the poison that we're talking about.
Yeah, this is the centipede in all its glory. If you've played this game before, I'm sure you're familiar with it. It is an annoying fight, to say the least. The poison does like a pretty fat chunk of damage. I think it does like 38 initially, and then in the second phase, I think it does like a little bit more. Fortunately, though, if you have the medicine on you, that'll usually take care of keeping you propped up. A revive in your back pocket always helps as well. But so right here, the enemies split into 4. Now this is where things get a little unruly because. Obviously more targets on the screen is harder for your gun. And if you would like to think, just stand in the middle where you can hit all 4 of them. Well, that's not how it works, man. That middle is deceptive. You want to stand closer to like one side of the room, just so that you think you can. You hope that you're gonna hit where you're closest to. It doesn't always work that way, but you like to hope. And you saw Chris immediately open with energy shot to reduce 4 to 3. It's a very, very good decision because it, for obvious reasons, reduces risk, makes there less enemies to have to hit. Now, it's worth mentioning that the head and the tail have more HP than the 2 body parts, which is why he singled out one of the body parts with that energy shot. And now you're just gonna see him repeat the process of mowing them down and hoping it goes fast.
Oh. All right.
That's some quality bullet spread.
That sucks, but it's okay. We're down to 1 revive. It sucks.
That's the nature of centipede. Can't be too upset by it. Poison does a lot of work in this fight, as well as like their straight up damage if they come hit you. It can hit 80, 70, things like that, and it's pretty ugly. But there is revives later we can get if we really care to. So the run is in no jeopardy now. Chris is playing it cool because he knows there ain't nothing to worry about, and centipede is done just like that, guys.
So I'm gonna save that. We're gonna use RBP. So here we're at the active time 31, so we're good. I'm gonna go ahead and pour this on the right one to get my attack point up, and then what I'm gonna do is from here take that weapon that we just got from Centipede, and because we can't use Frost, we're just gonna go ahead and take the stats and just pour it to them 10, and here we go. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer that we did not that we had to die there at the Centipede, but like Palmer was saying, I have another revive and we can go ahead and get one more in the library or the library, the museum, if I'm really feeling like I should. So. Oh.
Yeah, and if there's a couple of fights in this game where you expect, like, if I pop a revive, it's gonna be one of these, you know, couple fights, and that's definitely one of them. So, like, it's not anything that's like, oh my goodness, this is unexpected. You know, that's about it's about what you'd expect from Centipede. Sometimes that fight goes very, very well, where your gun just targets exactly what you want to, and sometimes you don't hit anything for 2 minutes and you burn through revives, and I've burned through 2 on that fight before. So, you know, not anything that we're too concerned about. You saw the disc swap there, very interesting place to have the disc swap, but that is, you're moving on to the back half of the game and doing some work along the way, so things are not looking bad.
Not looking bad at all. So I may end up taking that second revive just to be safe. I want to complete a run, so
the amount of ideally. Be like, hey George and crew, we got you a little ahead of schedule. We're gonna cut out. He died, but no, it is nice to get a revive, because the amount of clinch you feel with 0 revives as opposed to 1 is like completely different. It's like you go into a small panic. Every fight all of a sudden becomes a lot scarier. So if anything, just for peace of mind, it's sometimes nice to have.
Yeah, during my practice run yesterday, I burned through a revive on the second form of the Ultimate Being. That was my second one, and which is the final boss, and you'll see. And I think I was at the last phase with only 50 HP, and I had no heals left. And talk about a clench moment.
Yeah, sometimes, dude, I can't say how many times I've been like, well, this is it. I'm gonna mash X, and I'm either gonna die or I'm gonna win.
And then, you know, the feeling of unclenching is pretty great, but you don't realize how hard you're clenching until you don't have any more safety stuff.
Yeah,
anymore.
Your worry goes away just in time for the escape sequence, and everything is right with the world. Look, right now Chris is fighting the first iteration of the Scorpion-type enemies. The first one is the hardest of the potential 3 that you could face. Sometimes more, depending on if our EXP is where it needs to be. But these guys are annoying. They immediately counterattack after they receive damage. They have that. Oh, you got iframes on the first tick of that poison, though. That's nice.
That was good.
That poison can like lock you in place and hit you with multiple hitboxes. They can do a ton of damage, but they're sometimes almost as hard as some of them, like the spider, for instance. Those scorpions can be a little scary, especially if you're going into it with low resources. But Chris did a good job, minimize the risk. Moving on to the next couple screens, and now you're going to see the museum in all its glory. And the little green lizards here are basically the museum's birds. They're annoying, they hop around, they move a lot, and they drop junk. So you hate to see them.
You definitely hate to see them, especially the thing that you hate to see the most as well is junk. So when you have enemies that you can't stand and then they drop junk after you defeat them, it's just like a double whammy.
Yeah, it's just salt in the wound for sure. And but you have seen Chris use Heal 3, which we now have access to, and that thing is so nice. It does a ton of work. Heals you for a lot of your HP. And he actually got double raptors on this fight, which is rare. So the museum, I'll mention really quickly, is one of the places in the game where, like, if you get a fixed encounter, it can actually be one of 2 fight makeups, like the actual setup of the fight. So here he got to the 2 raptors fight, which is a faster, more EXP yielding fight, as opposed to 3 of those little green lizard guys. So that's always nice to see, and sometimes you do get that in the museum, so it's kind of hard to quantify, where your EXP is at, or how many repeat encounters you need, or things like that, because you don't actually know like what's going to be in that fight of the 2 options, and some are definitely faster and more lucrative than others.
Alright, so this is going to be our first fight with the rolling armadillos, and they can be a pain. They're pretty easy to predict because obviously you see how they bump up first before they go ahead and roll to your location. But if you get caught with those, yeah, as you saw, they can hit pretty hard in the beginning. So you want to be careful.
Yeah, they're usually like things that you can. They're very telegraphed, but occasionally, like they'll line up where you'll reload or something to that effect, and you'll get rolled over by 1, 2, 3 of them, and your HP is depleted rather quickly. But one of the luxuries that armadillos offer is that they drop medicine 4s, which are the strongest medicine in the game. Big fat heals. So that it's nice to see them. They're not the most difficult enemies in the world once you kind of get the hang of how their movement and everything works. So, you start to get used to them and like seeing them every now and then. And this is a repeat encounter right here. He could have not got the fight, which would have been probably ideal. These guys are not worth a whole lot of EXP and take a little bit of time, so more often than not, you want to not see this fight. But as I mentioned earlier, we could be exactly where he needs to be when he gets to the EXP determining moment. So there's really no way to tell until you reach that point.
I'm just gonna do that just to be careful.
Yeah, in a marathon, there's really no shame in dropping a heal. Dropping medicines, sorting inventory, especially in a marathon situation. You kind of want to be a little bit more lax, and you do get a lot of great medicines. And it's worth mentioning that your vest will actually use the best medicine you have first. So if dropping a quick heal 3 keeps you from having to use a medicine 4 you'd like to hang on to in the next fight, then I like to think it's worth it, especially in a situation like this.
And then, to me, you want to keep your here, like in the good old, I was gonna call it a library again, the museum. There's a part later on when we get there that you will get 2 key items that you need, and sometimes getting those key items, if you're there with a full inventory, it could be pretty brutal, because if you're just mashing X away just to get by it as fast as you can accidentally get rid of some of the weapons that you actually need, and that can just cause the whole run to just
medicine 4s, good weapons. There's nothing more painful than watching medicine 4s drop to the floor while you got 3 cure Ds or whatever junk in your inventory. And like Chris mentioned at the end, when we encountered the M8000, that is one gun you really don't want to see hit the floor, that's for sure.
Or the shotgun that you get burst from for the M8000, because that was the weapon that I've gotten rid of by mistake, and it was pretty bad. It made the Eve fight pretty brutal, and I don't think I've actually, I think that's where my run ended. Like, she just completely demolished me, and that was it.
Just down these stairs right here after this fight comes to a close is the revive, if you're so inclined to take it.
If I'm inclined, I think I'll probably get it on the way back. So like, I was thinking at the end, right before you fight the Triceratops, there, you can fight the little encounter there. I believe is it at the same spot? I believe so. Oh, well.
That was weird. I thought you were gonna get to that. I thought you were gonna get to that chest before the pterodactyl came out. I was like, where's the pterodactyl? There he is.
There he
Pterodactyls
is.
also drop medicine 4s, so they're nice. And usually their attacks are pretty telegraphed as well. That little purple mist cloud you saw does inflict darkness. So, as Chris mentioned previously, it's sometimes nice to have 1 or 2 in the pocket.
Move. Definitely before you get there. Right, so I believe I do have some medicine 2s. No, I don't. Yeah, okay, we're good. like I said before, I like to try to get rid of my lower tier, especially if I'm starting to drop medicine 3s and 4s. You don't want to just be full of the older medicines so that you miss out on the the better ones that these enemies drop. So.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it is. He got the pterodactyl in that previous screen, that longer screen. That's nice. The alternative fight there is 3 lizards and a raptor, so it takes considerably longer.
Mm-hmm. So we're about to see Aya do some secret agent woman stuff as she climbs out of here onto the ledge and jump from one floor to the next.
Yeah, there's a I'm always flabbergasted. Like the fate of the entire world shoulders, and you're like, I think I can make this 30-foot drop.
I think I got this.
Better hope I do. Otherwise, everybody's how selfish.
What a time to try to beat Daredevil, right? All right, so right here we're gonna go ahead. Yep, the mitochondria legs doing work.
But yeah, to your point earlier, I think I was muted. If you after you defeat T-Rex, if you still want to go get that revive, you can after you've gone up the stairs or whatever. So you can kind of call it as you see it, depending on how we feel. But one revive is sitting pretty for sure.
Yeah. I think I should have used the energy shot. I think I'm just gonna say, oh, save it now.
Mitochondrial legs, yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about this game, right? Is that like anytime something's like explainable, you're just like, it's mitochondria, That's all you need to know. That's the explanation. Yeah, as you can see, the Scorpion's just a real pain in the hide. You can do a little bit of damage, but Medicine 4 came through clutch, you're almost full HP, and you're moving on, and once you start to feel a little powerful, as you're just mowing through things with a pretty strong gun, a decent amount of HP, heal 3, all that kind of stuff, so. How we doing pace-wise? Oh, I am not sure, actually. I don't have the timer open. I can check for you real quick, George, and let you know.
We're at 2:11. We should be good. If anything, everything goes smooth, we should be done. 35 minutes or close to 40. Is that what you're meaning with the pace, or did I just talk out of it?
No, you're good. That's it. He's just checking in. Yeah, we should be on pace for estimate at this rate. Just at a quick glance.
Ooh. All right, so I am going to use that, and I think I'm good with the Cure Ds. I'm just gonna go ahead and use this on the M10, and then sword again. Yep, sure, Georgie. I'm gonna see if I can get rid of the pterodactyl right away. So I'll use an energy shot. Okay, so I was able to hit it once. Now I'm going to try to stick with it.
Yeah, the screen before this one with all the this larger screen is that very long one, and you got a pterodactyl and armadillo there, and Chris did a good job of managing that fight. It is really not to be understated how difficult it is to kind of corral everything in a shootable range. Same thing with that massive screen where he just fought the enemies you just saw. The screens can be deceptively large, and how far away you think you are from an enemy is sometimes not always accurate, and especially when there's more than 2 enemies on the screen, it's very difficult to kind of keep within a shootable range for everything. It's also, you know, the raptors have this weird little, they like to sidestep a lot, and they don't, you know, help you out by coming towards you, and you know, there's a lot of micromanagement under the hood of situations like this. But Chris has shown you guys the secret room that not a whole lot of people know exist. A lot of people say when they're playing, you know, they're watching runs or whatever, they're like, oh my god, I never found this room casually, but it's got a shotgun in it.
And there you go. Shotgun and a tool.
And the elevator is finicky as well. Hitting the buttons and triggers for all the switches and things like that is not to be understated. It's a little bit more difficult than it looks sometimes.
I've gone plenty of times to floor 1 when I meant to go to floor 2, and floor 1 again when I meant to go to floor 4. So yeah, you want to be careful.
Yeah, sometimes you hit the floor you're on, and it's like, okay, and you just sit there, and you're like, oh crap, you don't notice that you're not going anywhere.
Elevator's like, nope, we're not doing it today.
Yeah, Corona King, what you're mentioning there is actually is an interesting little tidbit. So yeah, at level 38, the next time you level, your EXP to the next level resets back to very, very low. So you can grind up like a stupid amount of levels really, really quickly. And the reason they did that is that's kind of where they expected you to be as you started to finish the game. And wanted you to be able to stockpile bonus points so that you could carry them over into New Game Plus. That is a small strategy for people who are casually trying to grind up New Game Plus files so that they can tackle the Chrysler building. There's another repeat encounter. You hate to see it. This screen specifically, it's such a long, wide screen, and it's very hard to, as I mentioned earlier, corral everything.
Just gonna use energy shot here.
Energy shot is a great. I'm over this tool. It's really nice because you're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with this. Let's just move on. And it lends itself nicely to being able to get rid of enemies that are being a little bit tedious at the cost of your parasite energy, which, comes back rather quickly.
Yeah. Alright, sweet. No encounter here, so...
Yeah, and a lot of these enemies, armadillo, can give a lot of ammo as well. So it's never really that too bad of a thing to get some extra fights here and there just to make sure that your resources, especially in a marathon, you don't want to run out of ammo on T-Rex or anything like that.
Yeah, that would be a shame to run out.
Yeah, I ran out of ammo on the T-Rex once in a run and tried to beat it to death with the club. Your club does 1, and the damage you have to take by standing close enough to hit it gives you 10. So it is an uphill battle for sure.
I have never been that unfortunate.
Hey,
yet,
you got to knock on wood right now, my friend. You don't ever want you don't put that evil. So.
Well, you mentioned it, so maybe it's you that put it on me.
I've jinxed you. I got to get out of here. I can't be responsible for this.
All right, so now they're finding out that obviously they've been found out at the end of day 4 that Dr. Clamp was involved in the whole thing with Eve. So now he is here to try to take care of unfinished business, probably. But Daniel comes to save the day, as he'd been waiting for that punch the whole game.
Yeah, so far Daniel his punch game is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
He's punched a couple of NPCs. Clamp definitely the most deserved. Every time you see him, you're like, great. I got a couple of minutes of mashing. This is going to be terrific.
Yep.
But spoiler alert, this is the last time you'll see him. serves him right, man.
Right?
It's the worst.
This is what
He's
happens.
kind of like a bad guy that's not really a bad guy. He's like one of those guys that's like, I'm doing bad for like, the right reasons, but he's really not. He's just nuts. I mean, anybody who stares at a computer screen that looks like that all day is eventually going to lose a few marbles.
Well, he must have been into comic books because he thought right now that he can be the Human Torch, and it just didn't not work.
Yeah, it's funny. Like as soon as he's finished burning up, he's like, "I've made a mistake. Here, take this." Yeah, you think? You couldn't have stopped, drop, and rolled before you figured that one out? Like, what are you doing?
He's like, why didn't you burn? Flame on.
He's like, dude, I definitely fell for some false advertisement. This is not how this is supposed to pan out. I like to think that, like, once this is all said and done and everybody returns to the museum, they just find, like, some ashes there and they're like, oh my goodness.
So I'm going to now take the rest of my points and put it to the... Okay, I thought I screwed up there. Put it towards my attack attribute so I can hit a little bit harder. We definitely want that during these next couple fights coming up. Not the regular fights, but I would say the sub-boss, which is the Triceratops, and then our big boy boss, which is the T-Rex that we saw come alive a couple of cutscenes ago. So
yeah, the Triceratops is a sneaky guy. Like he hurts sometimes way worse than you anticipate for. And oftentimes I'd rather fight the T-Rex just because he's a little bit more telegraphed. But yeah, the Triceratops is not to be overlooked. If you're, you can't just look ahead and be like, oh, you gotta give it the respect it's due for sure. Oh man, the Triceratops has a charge move that is a pain in the rear, and then the T-Rex throws flames. So between the two of them, you're just like, oh my goodness, just give me a break.
Mm-hmm. So right here, I'm gonna use a heal 3. Excuse me. And then I'm gonna take these two fights coming up. Normally, we can go ahead and hug the corner to make our way up to the Triceratops, but I'm going to go ahead and get the revive that is behind this door. Only reason is I would rather have 2 revives again during these 2 fights than just have 1, just in case. Again, for safety's sake. So.
Yep, and it doesn't ever hurt to have that. First of all, the Scorpion, good EXP. Second of all, the Armadillos, good ammunition, good EXP as well. So being a little bit more comfortable with how the run's going to be in the end game is always a nice luxury to have. On top of you throw a revive in there as well, and it's a pretty sweet deal. And you get to see some screens you wouldn't get to see in any other run. So Chris is doing a great job of showcasing everything Parasite has to offer.
Showing this beautiful, beautiful hallway with the stairs and vending machine.
It's important, all right? There's some devs out there that put a lot of work in.
That's where Clamp gets his snacks from.
Yeah, who are we to decide what is worth and what is and isn't worth showing?
You're right. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and reload, and here we go. Triceratops time.
The Triceratops is an interesting fight. It's technically broken into 2 phases. The first phase being considerably more risky, a little bit more dangerous, while he has his little bone head on. His charge move that he does will do more damage. His second attack is this lightning bolt that you've been seeing that kind of goes in an arc. Now, Chris has done a good job of standing where he should be standing in order to be able to minimize the risk that has. Sometimes it hits you, arc's weird, but that's an advantageous position you can stand in. And ideally, you just want to murder through this first phase as quickly as possible. so that you can move to the squishier, less difficult, less deadly second phase, where you see just his exposed little stubby noggin. And you can see the SMG doing work. Every time you see that third bullet come out, that's that property we were talking about earlier. And as you can tell, you see it a lot. It comes out a lot and does good work. Getting that the energy shot was well timed. When your parasite energy is full, your energy shot does a little bit more damage, so it's nice to use it there, as opposed to holding it onto it till the end and not getting the value out of the damage. So that was an intelligent use of that, and otherwise Chris is just moving alongside the Triceratops, doing a good job.
Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and make sure we get that damage point up, make sure that there is some space, because we don't want to miss that weapon drop from the T-Rex. And the good thing about this part right here is that we don't need to heal. This part would be an auto heal portion. I'm not sure how, but it is.
Yeah, when you get tackled out of the window and falls, that heals most people, you know.
Yep. Especially from a, Triceratops that, I'm mitochondria.
Yeah, thank you, mitochondria. That's all you need to know. Thank you for coming to our test.
It's mitochondria.
But the T-Rex here, one of the cooler bosses in the game. The fight takes a while. It's not really crazy difficult. It's just more long and tedious than anything. I think the Triceratops is a little bit more scary in my experience, because the T-Rex, you pretty much know what he's going to do. It just takes a while. Got a lot of HP. You're going to see a couple of different attacks. The first one is going to be his flame breath. If you're not familiar with T-Rexes, they shoot breath like dragons. That's in most science books. And he has a bite where he lunges forward, and the hitbox is very detached and slow. And it's weird just to watch it, and then when your damage hits. Another attack is these little missiles he'll shoot out of his sides that you can fortunately dodge by standing right on his toes. And then I want to say that's it. I think that's all of them. But keeping hasted as Chris is doing here is very good, just because he likes to hop around. He's very mobile. It helps you dodge the flame breath a little bit more, and you just want to push damage. That's really doesn't get much more simple than that. You gun him down and hope for the best. And like I said, this fight is more about length than it is about difficulty. And Chris is doing a great job of standing exactly where he needs to.
This may be a little bit iffy, but I'm gonna try to get the shot. And alright.
It always helps to push additional damage. Even if it doesn't kill the enemy, you're not additional damage. So it's nice to push that out before the end, and that was really well timed actually, because he died a couple rounds after. He picked up the M8000, got a good gun menu here, and this is where the game starts to get a little out of hand. Your gun becomes surprisingly pretty chunky, man.
Yes, it does. Chunky is the best way to explain it. We don't want that. Just put in that, put in those bonus points for that damage. Just make sure I got that equipped, and I'm good to go. As you can see, that gun that gun, exactly what Palmer said. It's just disgusting. Especially with burst, it makes it even 10 times better than what it is, and it's very helpful for the Eve and for the final two fights that we're gonna, not final two bosses, I would say. So.
Yeah, the shotgun he took the burst from, so it's able to hit multiple targets, which helps clear things out. Especially the final Eve fight that we fight, Eve 4, here towards the end of this day. Has multiple parts, and by being able to hit all of them at once, it speeds up the fight dramatically. As well as the M8000 has enter 2 commands, which is very, very interesting. It basically gives you 2 turns per turn. So you can choose to heal and do damage. You can cast 2 spells, use 2 medicines, something to that effect. It really gives you a lot more versatility. Primarily, we'll be using it to do damage, or casting haste with the first turn and doing damage, and it really makes you you feel a lot stronger, a lot faster. The old route used to be that you would reset for the micro Uzi, and you would put the shotgun burst on the micro Uzi as well as enter 2 commands. So you would have like this shotgun machine gun thing. But with Primus's adjustments of using the M8000, it opened up a couple of different avenues. So with the micro Uzi, knowing that we didn't need to keep open slots, we were able to add the quick draw from PPK and the ice bullets. And then with the M10, it allowed it to be a gun that can finish the run because we rely on this M8000. And because the M8000 only fires 2 bullets as opposed to the micro Uzi's 4, the rounds come out a little bit quicker. You definitely use less ammo. So it's a great job that Primus did. It really can't be understated. Learning the run now is a little bit more enjoyable, I would say. It also allowed us to change a couple strats in the final day, which made that day easier. So that small adjustment with one gun being the last gun really made a lot of difference in how comfortable the run is. But
as you also saw there, and Palmer probably just explained it not too long ago, but when I elaborate, like that burst ability, you were able to see how with 2 bullets you were able to, if they're right in the line of fire, you're able to hit multiple enemies. So
burst, though. That burst, baby. Yeah, it's so sweet. It's so cool. You got a handgun, shotgun that's just, and the damage on the crits on the M8000, they're hitting like 160 and stuff. Yep. It's a sexy gun for sure. It's really great.
It's a shotgun when you got a handgun. It's just better.
Yeah, exactly. And now you have the ability to choose your targets again. It's not super important because there's very few fights that are multiple enemies. That one that he just fought being one of them, but it is worth mentioning. No more random targeting.
Now this is going to be a long cutscene. Well, I wouldn't say long, but it's one of the longer ones that we have. So.
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes of, and it's not. The issue is, it's not like Final Fantasy X, where it's like here's one 10-minute cutscene. It's like here's about 30 cutscenes of 10 to 30 seconds each, with some mashing in between. So you like have to stay here. You can't just like go use the restroom or whatever. You gotta like mash and pay attention, kind of.
Because one of the things. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead, man.
I was gonna say one of the things too when you find out there with Parasite Eve and with longer speed runs, you have real life final bosses. One of that being your bladder. When you drink a lot of water between these runs, but there are times where you can't get up and you're having to fill the bathroom, and you're like, this is not good. Thankfully that didn't happen today, so I'm grateful. But there's times where at this part I'm in pain because it's like I want to get through this, but I have a good 10 minutes of mashing and cutscenes before I can actually do anything.
I tell people all the time because like PSP and PSTV are the fastest ways to run this game by about 90 seconds, give or take, faster than the PS2 iterations. But people ask me all the time, between the PSP and the PSTV, which one do you recommend? And I always say, if you have a PSTV, do that, because you can get a wireless controller and mash while you pee, my friends, and that makes all the difference.
Yes, it does. Indeed. Now, if you're doing practice runs, then the PSP is good because then you're not streaming it, right? You know, if you're just doing solo, you can go ahead and take it with you how you did.
Yeah, you can literally never leave the toilet at that point.
Better safe than sorry, my friend. Just make sure that you're the only one using it, because if not, then there's going to be angry people at you. So.
Yeah, ideally at your house, things like that.
Yes.
Work, probably not a great place to do it.
Not a great.
Yeah, right here.
Car trips. Yeah, that could be one too, Ed.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the PSP was the Switch of previous generations, my friend. But a lot of the story gets explained right here. At least ties it up. I'll kind of fill in a little flavor so you guys feel like you know a little bit what the game is about. Basically, mitochondria. That's the number one thing you need to take away from this. And number two is that Eve, essentially, with Clamp's, we'll call it seed, got pregnant, and her goal is to give birth to this thing called the Ultimate Being, which will usher in, which will usher in a new age of advanced mitochondrial beings that will rid the Earth of humans and take over as just their species or whatever. So that's what you're kind of seeing now. Now she is pregnant, and she is obviously, you know, kind of eluding you, trying to give birth to this thing before she faces you. And basically the military is just flying helicopters willy-nilly through New York City, just firing rockets and stuff and shooting guns. Much to no avail. This thing goes into a cocoon. It has like this shield around it, and they're like, I bet if we get real close to it, then something good will happen. Well, the answer is no. A lot of tax dollars just right out of the sky, my friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is where your hard-earned tax dollars go to.
You know that there's somebody in there that's like, hey guys, we're getting called to fly helicopters to the city streets, and they're like, yo, I'm down. Sign me up, man.
Right?
We can shoot at anything we want. Yeah, I've been waiting to do this a long time. You know, the Knicks have not been good this year. I'm gonna get that stadium on my way out.
Yep, we're gonna launch it. Let alone they didn't realize the Rockets would bounce back though and hit them. So it's another thing.
Do we have a moment?
Sure.
Because I'd like to remind people that the bid war for Final Fantasy XIV. I'm not good at Roman numerals. I don't even know what number.
XIV, baby. 14.
XIV, baby. It's 14. Alright, it's 14. Sorry, I cannot read numerals. Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers, the outfit bid war for Left Side Worldwide Run is still open, so if you want to decide what outfit Left Side is going to be wearing during the run, then you can do that with your donation comments. We're raising money for Go Rescue, as usual, but I don't think there's time for a full charity shout right now, so back to you.
Yeah, we have a couple minutes.
Couple minutes? Oh, is it just cutscenes right now?
Yeah, you still got some minutes, yep.
I see, because we are here running the marathon to raise money for Go Rescue, which is a I've been awake for a little bit long. Which is a no-kill dog shelter in Norfolk, Virginia area, and it's not like one of not like 100 shelters on like one giant organization. It's just one shelter in Norfolk, and it's just you know that like $5 you spend on your Starbucks or your Pizza Capax. That would help so much. Like every dollar counts here. So if you want to like donate a few bucks, every penny matters here. And if you do, you can donate to various incentives we have for the marathon. In your donation comments, like as I said earlier, for example, the Final Fantasy 14 outfit bid war, or maybe the what's it called? The Battletoads and Double Dragons, the character bid war that we have on Friday. So we have a bunch of incentives, and Go Rescue always needs more money. And we've got 250. You know, we've already hit half our goal in like day 2, so you know we can reach our goal. I think we can reach our goal. We can pull a NoHA19 again, I believe. In case you don't remember, NoHA19, we set a 500 goal and then got like almost raised the grand, but we'll have to see. Back to you.
Definitely get those donations rolling. Like Jordan was saying, it is a very good cause for a no-kill dog shelter. And I wasn't a big animal person, to be honest, but we had our first dog in a very long time, and we ended up rescuing him, and his name was Max, and he was an awesome dog. So just to be able to get those dogs from those type of areas, and especially that they have a home to be in and not worrying about euthanizing dogs, then it's good to raise some money for that. So definitely go ahead and donate if you can, and we would appreciate it. So So Eve is about to go ahead and I would say not revive Palmer. What would be the proper way to evolve mitochondria?
Mitochondria.
And Aya is saying yes. There's no turning back this train, or whatever you want to call the good old Final Fantasy VII line, which I completely butchered, by the way. So, well, anyways, we still just got one little cutscene left, and then we will go ahead and get one of our final fights going. So. And this is the part you're going to see why we wanted to be on level 33 when leaving, because I ends up learning this move called Liberate, which is a very beefy move. Heal, there's that. It's her Super Saiyan move for all you DBZ fans, and it pretty much takes 200 a hit, 245 a hit, and she hits multiple times, probably up to 8, 9 maybe. So it's a very good move to have. So yeah, that's why you want to leave.
It's nasty. 7 hits. They usually do about 256 a piece, depending on where your damage is now. And also it has the luxury of it freezes the enemy in place, right? So if you're about to get hit with something and you pop it, that attack goes away. Secondarily, if you want to finish off a fight, you don't have to be close. Like, it'll close that gap for you. It's a sweet move, and it does so much work without having to use your gun or be in range or anything like that. It's consistent. It's cool looking, and it's especially helpful in these last couple days where some of the fights have a little bit more HP, and it's a good way to shoot through them right quick. It's pretty considerable difference-wise. If you don't have Liberate and you try to go through this with just gunning stuff down and casting Haste, you're going to lose probably like a minute or two, bare minimum. So like, in a perfect world, we talked about if you could make it to the game without getting a single encounter and just ignoring not having Liberate and gun, I still think it would probably be slower than taking the right amount of encounters. It makes a big difference. And it looks sweet. I can't stress how sweet it looks. It looks sweet.
You don't want to get hit by that move. That's... Well, the white one, I guess, is not that bad. It's the one that puts your defense down. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, this fight is, this phase is super annoying. Obviously, Chris is casting Haste here, and he's standing in a good spot and trying to gun her down, but she'll come up and smack you. She has a move where she'll spin in a circle and fire stuff everywhere. She'll grab you, or attempt to grab you. One does like a ton of damage. One reverses the direction of your D-pad, which is super annoying.
Which is right now.
Yeah. It's so annoying. Sometimes it's just better to stand in place and hope she doesn't go anywhere, because it is super difficult to try to figure that out. Another one is she'll do like this spray with her arm in front of you, which you just saw there. And she's annoying. She's this phase especially is annoying, and it would be made even more annoying if there wasn't a way to consistently be able to hit all targets, because you're basically defeating, I think, 3 separate enemies right there, all in one mass, and do them all pretty. Every time you hear her make that like oof noise, it's one of the pieces dying. So very way easier to deal with than Centipede and his multiple elements, that's for sure.
So we're gonna want to hit twice here. Please don't do that move. And then I think we should be good.
Yeah, Medicine 4 is coming in clutch. Chris is getting a good amount of damage done before he pops off that big boy Liberate that you're seeing. So much work. Looking great, doing the most. And it's one of the few times when you cast Liberate that you can legit just sit back in your chair and be like, alright, whatever. Read a little bit, kind of let the game play itself.
Yeah, alright, we're good. Whew. Trust me, without Liberate, that fight can be pretty bad. So.
Yeah, the second phase looks very easy. Chris made it look like a joke, but without Liberate, that second phase can be punishing. She flies up into the air. She has like a defense down, a poison, like all kinds of nasty stuff. But made quick work of it, and all in all, had a really clean day 5. Can't really complain. So going on to day 6 now, 2 revives in the pocket, opportunity to get some resources off the boat, and looking like it'll easily make estimates. So.
I'm wondering if, I'm wondering if I should, I'm probably, again, play safe, so. we may go with the good old, at least medicine method, so.
Yeah, I would probably get medicine 4s and 3s, just
because I did use some there on that fight.
And the worst place to run out of medicines is when Ultimate Being has those little things dashing around, and you're like, I'm gonna get healed, and you don't get healed, and you're like, what? Well, I was out of medicine. Oh no!
And that happened to me yesterday. So
dude, it happens, man. It happens. It really does.
It hurts. So everyone's happy. Everyone's like, you done it. Congratulations. And we're at the carrier. Everything's all well and done. And then, well, you'll see.
Yep, yeah, you think it's over, right? All is right with the world. Eve has been defeated, but wait, there's more.
There's more.
But there is, I didn't mention it earlier, and because it happened so quickly, I guess I'll talk about it now. There's a little bit of downtime. Chris, while he was in the security room, the museum, picked up the MP5 and some other letters. It's a long name for a gun, but it is an SMG that we use for one thing and one thing only. And it is a strategy that a Japanese guy who doesn't run the game just reached out on Twitter and showed this video of him getting this gun that fires a ton of bullets. And if you get lucky, it can make one of the first phase of the last boss, really quick. So that's a nice quality of life thing that you won't see a lot in casual play. The gun's not great outside of this one use that it has. But there's a lot of cool things that have changed about day 6. Ultimate Being 2, we used to fight, and I used to die at it all the time. So I got really frustrated and tried to come up with a strategy that made it a little easier, which is, we liberate it now, and it's a lot less stressful. Ultimate Being 3 is a little bit more manageable with medicine. You got the Odo strat, as I like to call it, the one I just mentioned on Ultimate Being 4. So day 6 is really like, it's this big bad boss rush, but the hardest part of it has nothing to do with any of the fights.
It's the escape part.
Yeah, the music, there's not enough revives in the world. So.
Nope, I agree with that statement. There's not enough revives in the world. That's where you really want to make sure you take your time and do not screw up. So we do have 4 forms for this Ultimate Being. Then after that we have the chase scene, and then from there, after the chase scene, time should go. So I will let you know in the final room when time would be. It should be hopefully in the next 5 or 10 minutes. And yeah, so just get ready on that time. So. Or if you see a game over screen, get ready on time.
Yeah, that's called the bad ending.
That's called the bad ending.
That's bad ending percent.
So our scientist was trying to give us, another useless charm to take up some inventory space, but you would see. Just want to plant those in your mind as you are going on, hopefully following along with this mitochondria story.
Yeah, basically that Stewie Griffin, ugly-looking thing you're seeing there is the ultimate being. The noises he makes, terrific, excellent noises. This is the first phase of the ultimate being. He ages very, very quickly. The first phase is actually pretty neat. You're going to see Chris cast haste here, and then just gun it down, just mow down this baby. And there's a neat little interaction that can take place on this fight. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But he has a move where he drops to the ground, and it reduces you to 1 HP. Now, if you're standing on top of him, right as that takes place, occasionally you'll get iframes, and it'll do 0. And Chris is probably going to try that, but it doesn't always work out that way. It didn't there, and as you can see, you just get a medicine for it to pop you right back up. So this guy has like no kill pressure. The worst part about that fight is just having to listen to the sounds he makes. That's really it. My favorite sound is when you defeat this boss coming up, Ultimate Being 2. It makes like this, like the wings will like scream.
Yep.
And then the body's like get. And I'm like, what? Who did this, dude? How did they come up with these noises?
Oh no. That
So this fight
was bad right there.
There's no bad, my friend.
I'm sorry. That was
all planned.
All planned.
That's what he meant to say.
I wanted to show you his durability.
Exactly. He wanted to showcase that this enemy does in fact split into 2. Ideally here, you want to see Liberate land most of its hits. Of the 7 hits, you want to see at least 4 on the body. And, even better if you get even more. The body is all that has to die here. And if you don't get the lucky amount of Liberate hits, which Chris did not, then you only have a couple more shots to fire at him. He usually will jump to the center, you'll gun him down as normal.
We're going to take a safety cure here.
Yeah, he does a sneaky amount of damage. You do have to respect his damage for sure.
Wow.
You got medicine for days.
There we go.
See, that's the annoying part about this fight is he's so mobile. We used to chase him around and fight him. Like that's how we used to do it, and it was so frustrating. So that was a RNG wise not ideal, but Chris managed that fight super well. Didn't pop any revives, nothing to that effect.
Yeah, so we still got 2 revives, so that's...
Oh yeah, 2 revives for 2 fights.
Yes.
So while Chris handles these fights, he's making them look easy, he's making them look good, but there is there's a lot that goes into them, a lot that can happen. Ultimate Being 3 is one of the more beefy, mobile. He jumps from corner to corner. You kind of got to choose your shots carefully. Chris is doing a great job of it. And so I'll kind of explain a little bit on how it all works and goes down. Ultimate Being 3 has where he jumps to a corner, and if you stand directly underneath him, you won't get hit. He also has an ability where he jumps to the middle and does a pretty chunky bit of damage as well. Fortunately, not a whole lot of his attacks have the capability of sniping you. Usually he hits for about 120, like 118 or something like that. So your medicine can usually carry you through this fight. And Chris is going to get full Parasite energy and probably end the fight with Liberate. Yep, there you go.
Say 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Wrong audio unmuted. Sorry, everyone.
Also intentional. Everything we do is intentional. Mitochondria. That's all you need to know. But a really great Ultimate Being 3. Like that was about as well as you can hope for it to go. Nothing really jumped out. Nothing.
He kind of worried me there when he went to that corner. I'm like,
he
oh no.
does that. It is so scary. You're like, oh no, there's more left, and you're stuck in that little hit stun for a little bit, getting over your grogginess, and he leaps. But yeah, no, you did a great job. That fight was super clean, and now you're enjoying one of the best scenes in all of cinematic gaming. Well, not exactly, but close. In a second. But yeah, I mentioned this previously. The gun that Chris is equipping here is the MP5. It's nasty, and it has the capability of doing like a gazillion shots. Man, it's hilarious. He didn't get lucky with the damage rolls, so it didn't end it in one phase. But 2 turns is also very good because those little guys that slip around the floor can do a little bit of damage as well.
So right here you find out that he wasn't trying to give me a useless charm. He was actually trying to give me bullets that would have eradicated this last boss. So if I would have had this in the beginning of phase 1, this would have been over minutes ago. But
Yeah, it's hilarious because he's like, here, let me give you this. And they're all, dude, cut it out, man. We're over these gifts. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry.
But Daniel does a little flame on action himself. Nice catch.
The man jumps out of a copter, catches fire, bursts into flames, hurls a perfect toss, and extinguishes himself without scorching his suit. The man is a legend.
Yes, he is. And as you can see, bullets will take the 99999 action. We should be good. 2 revives still. I'll be alright. And we're good.
Yeah, that was well done, Chris. That was a really, really clean set of bosses. Sometimes those things can throw you a few curveballs, like UB2 did. He handled those super well. Very, very well done. You guys are seeing peak gaming here as he handles these bosses with no problem.
So now this is the last phase where we go ahead and try to escape the ship. I just want to go ahead and give a couple shout outs. I want to give Palmer, for sure, thank you for co-commentating with me. I appreciate. This is the first time I've actually spoken to Palmer.
That's been a pleasure. We work well.
And
awesome.
Yeah, I enjoy it, so I appreciate that. Guys, for setting it up, Georgie and Slow, appreciate you guys organizing this and allowing me to run. And definitely, guys, go ahead and donate, especially for this the Go Rescue Shelter. It's a great thing to donate to. It's a great cause, and yep, go ahead and do that. So I hope you guys enjoy the marathon. We're not over yet, and just gonna go ahead and continue with this intense music.
Yeah, it's hard for me to even watch this, dude. It like gives me anxiety. Even though like if you take your time, screen's low, there's like no risk. But deep down inside, I'm like, oh no,
Yep.
oh no.
Yep. I've seen a lot of videos where somebody accidentally went back.
Oh yeah.
And if you go back a screen, he's there already waiting for you. There's no he's on his way, and that's an automatic game over. Like, that's it.
Yeah, it is absolutely worth clarifying, as Chris just said. If you go the wrong direction or you return to a screen you were already on, you instantly lose. There's no revives. It's just game over. And the only place to save is before the boss rush. And it's also worth mentioning that same phone, if you try to save after the boss rush while he's chasing you, it's out of service. And he'll catch up to you in the amount of time that you realize that. So it's super troll on their end. But Chris is bringing it home, man.
So we got
Get ready on time.
Yep, get ready on time. We got like 3 screens probably left. So this is the one to go upstairs. And yep, this will be it. And as soon as it fades, we're gonna go ahead and hit time. So, and time.
Well done, man. Good run. Good clean run.
Good stuff. 257 for a safe run. That's
Oh yeah. Oh
that's
yeah.
some good stuff.
Yeah, well done, my man. That was a good run. Real clean. Real. You know, you can't ask for a better marathon showing. So you did a great job. Thanks for letting me commentate with you. It was terrific.
I appreciate it. Like I said last second, I appreciate you hopping out of work and just coming straight on to commentate and get this mitochondria going.
So I was setting up the next run in the background, and I don't know if you guys were talking about what you did. If you said that on stream, I just want to clarify that first. Did you like talk about what you did, or did you not?
No, I didn't. Are you talking about as I was going through the final bosses?
Yeah, I'm talking about this magical $30 that appeared on the donations. Because
Yes.
Palma gave Paul. I assume I was during the run. Palma gave 10, saying I'll donate another 10 if Chris makes it through the final day without losing a revive. I don't know if that happened because I was just busy setting up the next run, but
It's funny because we did not plan that at all. Like I ended up, well, as we were talking and as I was going through the cutscene before, I think right after the E fight, I ended up donating. So.
Oh wait, you donated too.
Yeah.
with Chris also donating, I was saying host choice.
So yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, what I'm going to do is Chris said host choice. I'm going because I guess technically you could say I do play, one RPG if you're really interested about it. But like, what I'm gonna do is Palma organized USS and just general RPG marathon. So if you're fine with it, I will pass the choice for the Final Fantasy outfit bit war to Palmer. If you're fine with that.
Yeah, yes I am. I'm fine with
the
that.
outfit bit war for that. And then we'll get veteran set up as soon as possible. So Palmer, you here?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have to go Zidane just because.
Zidane?
Yeah, I'm a Zidane. I'm a 9 diehard. It's one of the first games I ever played.
Right.
Good choice. Good choice.
Awesome. Great run, you two, and thanks. Thanks for the. I did not expect the runners to. Okay, that's a new run. Runners donating during the run.
Right.
That's a new one. That's definitely a new one.
It's multi-talented, man. Multi-talented.
Multi-track drifting.
Yeah.
Lord Most wants to know your location. But yeah, as usual, runners have the final word. Thanks for running.
Yes, thank you again so much for having me over. I started speedrunning this a couple months ago, so like I said, I'm definitely gonna start getting my my PB down, and also to start running Parasite Eve 2 at some point. But I also do run Resident Evil and Soten. So if you are interested in those things, stop by the channel. And we could just go ahead and chat. But again, I appreciate you guys letting me run, let me show you this game, and go ahead and donate to Go Rescue. So thanks again.